Okay. All right. So in our online learning, all right, I would love it, if everybody be on time. There will be a few breaks in between. So when I do give you a break or so, do come back on time. And I do hope throughout the whole workshop you stay engaged. Mute the mic if you're not speaking, because I do know incidents do happen where you accidentally unmute yourself. But if you are aware, do mute it back. Okay. If you have any questions throughout the workshop, feel free to use the chat box. Our moderator will be on standby guarding the chat box in case I miss your questions on the chat box. Otherwise, you can just unmute yourself or raise hands first and then unmute, and then yeah, you can share or clarify with me. Okay. I do also have if you are shy to unmute or type in the chat box, I do have an anonymous an anonymous link. Okay, if you see my top right corner of my screen, there's this little link. Okay, tinyurl.com/questions to ask. So it is anonymous. You can just type in your questions if you're shy to do so on during the workshop, and then as and when during the breaks, I will take a look at all the questions that you have posted up, that you have given me, and then I will try to address it during the workshop. If not, I will point out if the questions will be answered during which parts of the workshop. Okay. So like I said earlier, workshop is recorded for training and quality purposes. And do stay calm if you're disconnected, or if I myself am disconnected, do stay calm, don't worry. I do have my co-host with me from Isla who will be online. Hopefully she also doesn't get disconnected, so that when I come back, then we can continue with our workshop. But if you are disconnected, do not worry. You can always come back and join us, okay? Yes, okay. Okay, so just a little information about myself. I am, like I said, my name is Fadilah. I am the owner of Blooming Footprints, and I am currently an early childhood educator as well as a special education teacher. I have about 18 years of teaching experiences, most of which are in the line of special education. All right. When I was in EPIC, I was a team leader and coach and oversaw a team of teachers, and we taught young children with autism. And then I moved on to being an allied educator, learning behavior support with the MOE, where I mentored and guided untrained or beginning ADLBS and supported students in both the primary school setting as well as the secondary school setting. And at MOE, I also conducted various workshops and talks at different platforms, and also collaborated with other LBS for cross-schools programs. Okay. And like I said earlier, I'm currently an early intervention specialist as well as an early childhood educator. Okay, so I'm actually juggling a lot of things right now, but inshallah, yeah, we can do this together. Okay, all right. So moving on. So I want to do a quick check-in, because now that you know something about me, I would like to know something about you as well. So if you are using the laptop, you can just I believe the annotate function, you can find it at the bottom, or if not at the top, yeah, the annotate button, which I would like you to look at the stamping. Okay, and if you're using a handphone or a device, I believe you have to swipe right or swipe left, sorry, then you can find the annotate function. Okay, so if you like, you can try it out right now, your annotate function. Try to use the stamp. Okay, yes, thank you, Africa, you're using the drawing. Okay, there's also the stamping where you can do hearts, yes, hearts, or even ticks, crosses and all that. Okay, yes, thank you so much for trying it out. Okay, great, I love it. Okay, so if you are ready, I'm going to ask a few questions so that you can just annotate, and then yes, then I can find out more about my participants. Okay, are you all ready? Yes, I hope so. So I'm moving on to the next slide. Okay, so who are you? Why are you here? Are you here as a parent, as a grandparent, or a caregiver? Or are you here as an educator? Or are you just simply here because you're interested to learn about children with autism? So I do have a lot of participants saying their parents. Oh, a lot of educators today, I see. And a few interested persons. Wonderful. Love to hear that. Love to see that you are just here to learn. Wonderful. Okay, Alhamdulillah. Okay, so I'm moving on. Great that I know that quite an even share across educator and parents as well. Okay, so moving on to the next one. Okay, so what's your knowledge on managing children with autism? Are you very nervous? Are you still on the fence, sometimes depending on the needs? Or are you comfortable managing them? Or, are you game on for anything? So let me see. Wow, we have a few who are game on. Wow, very good. Who are all these very exciting individuals here, okay? And a lot of you are on the fence depending on the needs, okay? Wow, wonderful, comfortable managing them. Okay, good. Nobody is saying that they are nervous? No? Truthfully, do you know what? Even when I do have a lot of years, a lot of years with kids with autism, I do sometimes get very nervous. Okay, that's my truthful admission. Okay, I'm still a bit nervous sometimes, but usually I'm comfortable, and yes, I'm usually very game for anything as well. Okay, so glad to hear that a lot of you are game for everything, and a lot of you are still on the fence, which means you're still okay, you're still accepting how to manage children with autism, and hopefully I can move you towards comfortable managing them, all right, later on. Okay, great. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. Okay, Ken. So with that, you can switch off, you can close the annotate function. Okay, and then we can move on to the other slides. Okay. All right, so today's content, okay, what are we covering during our workshop? Now, our workshop today, we are covering quite a lot of things actually. Hang on, yeah, let me just clear my drawings, and then let me put, hang on. So sorry for this, let me disable. Okay, great. Okay, so like I said, today's content is about, mainly kids with autism. So we are covering about the traits, the signs and symptoms of autism. And then I'm going to touch a bit on executive function, because I think it's important for my participants to know and understand why do kids, or why do individuals with autism behave a certain way, okay? And not just specific to autism, but as well as other special needs, or even to ourselves as well. All right, and then I'm going to talk about the strategies. I do believe a lot of you are here for the strategies, and we're going to look at two case studies, okay, which I will show you towards the end of our workshop. And then I will also talk about how to create SEN-friendly environment either at home or in your classroom setting as well. And then if you have any further questions, you can do it so during the Q&A session at the end of the workshop. All right, so like I said, even the Q&A is at the end of the workshop. If there is any, burning questions that you like to ask as and when throughout the workshop, you can just either unmute yourself, or you can type out in the chat box, or even go to the anonymous link at tinyurl.com/questions to ask. All right, and if I do go too fast, or that you do not understand me, please do let me know. Okay, stop me, and then you can clarify with me. All right, because I do want you to have a good understanding of the workshop. All right, okay, Ken. So is everybody ready to start? If we are, then I will move on to the first part, which is the traits, signs, and symptoms. Okay, so we are looking at the early signs and symptoms of autism spectrum disorder. Now, if you know, if you do realize that in any in any children, okay, we do look at the developmental milestones. Now, this is just an example of a development milestones that I pick up that I thought is very good, very clear, a lot of information from this website. But like I said, if you just Google developmental milestones, there are lots of links and images that you can actually look at, and most of them are very similar. Okay, so in order for us practitioners, psychologists, or doctors, to pick up whether or not your child has a developmental delay, either autism or any other learning needs, we usually look at the developmental milestones. This is where we look if your child is at, let's say, 3 years old. Is he able to do all of these skills? And if not, where is he at the developmental milestones, whether or not he has a delay, a significant delay, or otherwise. Okay, so this is all the doctors don't just look at your child and say, hey, I think he has autism and so and so. No, we do follow the developmental milestones quite closely so that we can track whether or not the child has the strategies, or sorry, the skills, okay, that is needed for them to function at that particular age. Now, do take note that even though the milestone here says at 3 years old, you need to, the milestone says these are all the skills, but if your child is already 3 or coming to 3, but have not yet achieved all of this or most of it, is okay. Because like I said earlier, the doctors do take this as considerations, but not like 100% follow it religiously. Usually they will look at how far off your child is with against the developmental milestones, and if there is a so-called a skills deficit of maybe about 6 to 9 months or even more, and then that's where they will call for a closer checkup, okay, and then they will do the necessary assessments and all that. Okay, so all the traits, all the signs and symptoms of any special needs, the doctors do take a look at the developmental milestones quite seriously. All right. Okay, so moving on. So early signs and symptoms, the doctors do follow a handbook, a manual, which is from the DSM. I believe now is still current version 5. Okay, so all of the healthcare professionals in the US or even in the world, in Singapore as well. Okay, and I do believe I do have some Malaysian friends right now. So even in Malaysia, I do know that they are using the DSM-5, to check against the diagnosis of autism and others. Okay, so in the DSM-5, they have the descriptions, the symptoms, and other criteria for diagnosing any disorders. All right. So all of my descriptions here is all from the DSM-5. Okay. So if you are new to autism and you're not sure what is autism, now autism is a developmental disability that affects a person's ability to make sense of the world and also to while relating with others. Okay, so this is just a gist of what is autism. All right, and what causes autism? Anybody knows? What causes autism? Okay, now autism actually has no definitive answer. Okay, research has shown that autism can be caused by a variety of conditions that affect the brain development, which may occur before, during, or even after birth. Okay, so one thing is for sure is that autism is a neurological a neurological it affects the neurology, okay, which is the brain development of the child. Okay, but the exact cause or the combination of causes for autism is not fully understood. Okay, so there are some research that suggests that it could be a chemical imbalance in the brain. Some other studies suggest genetics could be a factor as well, but again, all these are very inconclusive because they and is not really strong. Okay, their research are not really strong to really suggest what's the cause of autism. Okay, so in reality, what the scientists and the doctors know is that autism may be developed from a combination of several so-called causes. Okay, so it's just not one definite cause, but it could be a few. All right. Okay, so far okay? All right, so how do we recognize autism? Now, under the DSM-5, autism is characterized by persistent deficits. Okay, persistent deficits means it is very consistent across most environments, across most the time of the day, as well as interactions with people, etc. Okay, so what are the deficits in the kids? The individuals are usually have deficits in social interaction, social communication, as well as flexibility of thoughts. Okay, so these are, like I said earlier, in multiple contexts, as well as restricted repetitive patterns of behavior, interests, or activities. Okay, so autism is also known as autism spectrum disorder, ASD, or high functioning autism. Okay, so these two are the latest and most updated names of autism that is reflected on the DSM. So right now in these two slides, okay, I'm going to talk a bit about the social interaction part. So what is about social interaction. Now, social interaction means the individual, the child, have a lack of attention or is very unresponsive to people. Okay, they may not understand facial expressions like happy, sad, or even fearful, and they do not share in others' enjoyment. So, let's say if we are happy, but the child does not understand because the child may not understand the facial expression of being happy. So he does not necessarily join in the enjoyment when you are happy or when others are happy. All right. And because of that, they could have limited in functioning in certain social contexts. All right. And usually what I find is as well as in studies is that children with autism, they function better with adults than with peers, okay, or better in one-to-one rather than in groups. Okay, why do you think young children perform better with adults? Think about it. Why do you think they perform better with adults than with their peers? Okay, but usually with adults, we tend to be more understanding. We tend to, be more patient with the child rather than with peers. Am I right? Okay, usually, when especially in younger kids, we are much more patient with them, and the peers, sometimes may not even realize, or they may have their own egocentric ways. They may think differently, and so they may not be able to ascertain or empathize with the child with autism. Hence all this the children with autism, they perform better with adults. Okay, and why with one-to-one? Why with one-to-one? Because obviously with one-to-one we have all our attention is all on the kid, right? Rather than in groups. And also in groups, the sensory overload may also come in where there's much more noise, or, there's a lot of social skills, expectations that the child have to deal with and all that. Okay, so all of these do play a part. Okay, so apart from that, let me just check. So apart from that, a child with autism may also have difficulties asking for help, asking for a break, or saying, I don't know. Okay. So you think about it, if you have a child with autism, it could be your student or it could be your own child. How does he ask for help? Is he able to verbalize it? I need help. Or does he like throw things? Or does he hum when he wants to ask for help? Think about it. Okay. But in social interaction, we need to know how he asks for help. Okay, that's quite important. And the child may also have difficulty making friends. Okay, and has the lack of awareness of the thoughts and feelings of others. This is the perspective taking, okay? Like not showing empathy or understanding when a peer is upset. Okay, so all of this fall under the social interaction, okay? Okay, so we have the social communication. What's the difference between social interaction and social communication? Social interaction is more of how he presents himself in the group, in the social setting, right? But social communication is actually the communication itself, all right? So the child may use unconventional communication to express the needs. So this is very typical. A parent or an adult might say that the child is showing temper tantrum. Okay, he's crying, he's hand holding, but all of this, okay, is actually a communication need. Okay, it's actually a type of communication, but it's just unconventional to us. All right, to us, communication is verbalizing. Am I right? But for kids with autism, especially the younger ones, their way to communicate their expressions, their feelings, their emotions is through all of these behaviors. Okay, so it is a type of communication. It is just unconventional. All right. And the child may also have limited intentional communication, where initiating communication with others may be infrequent. Now, this is also very important because what is intention? Okay, well, what's the child's intention of asking for help? Okay, for example, if the child has difficulties opening his container, okay, so the child may have learned, oh, I need help. Okay, the child knows he needs to say, I need help, but maybe the intention he doesn't know. Okay, what's intention means he doesn't know that he needs to go up to you to ask for help. So in the end, the child can just, like for example, if he wants to open up this packet of biscuit, right? So he say, oh, I need help, help. He's just saying that, but is he able to go up to you and say, Mommy, I need help? Okay, so that's the intentional part. So when he's shouting, need help, need help, need help, he's using conventional communication. He's using his words, but he doesn't have the intention. Okay, he doesn't know he has to go up to you to ask for help. Okay, so this is a thing that, you know, a lot of adults, a lot of parents, and a lot of teachers may not realize. Even if the child is verbal, so-called, even if the child knows that he needs to ask for help, he has the words to ask for help, but are we teaching him as well that he needs to come to us? Okay, be intent. Okay, intently come to us to ask for help. Okay, so if he doesn't have the intentional communication, that's why we have to come in and we have to teach him how to come to us to ask for help. All right, so later on during the strategies part, I will explain a bit more on this part. Okay, and also, you know, if the child is very stressed, they may also hit out at others. This is also part of the communication. All right, it's just still under the unconventional communication. Okay, why is he hitting out at us? So we need to find out why. Okay, all right. So another part of social communication is the joint attention. So joint attention is such as pointing or showing or even giving to us. Joint attention means both of you, all right, the child and the adult are paying attention to the same thing. Okay, so for example, if the teacher is teaching, maybe talk about caterpillars, okay, and the teacher is showing a caterpillar on a leaf. Okay, so the teacher says, oh, look at the caterpillar, what color is it? And if that, how do you know that if the child is showing joint attention? The child would be saying, oh, it's green. But for a child who does not have joint attention, he may be focused on something else. All right. So let's say maybe the teacher has some paint on the hand while showing the caterpillar. So instead of looking at the caterpillar, the child may be looking at the paint stain that is on your hand. So that means he does not have the joint attention with the teacher. He's looking, he may be looking, but he's not paying attention to what the teacher wants him to pay attention to. Okay, same goes as a parent. All right, if you, let's say, you know, you go out, you go to the zoo, for example, and then you see some animals, all right, at the zoo, and you're pointing and you say, hey, look, there's a giraffe. But instead of looking at the giraffe, what is the child looking at? The child may be looking at the same direction, but he may be looking at maybe the birds on the trees. All right, or maybe he's looking at the sun, you know, so the joint attention is very important and is part of the social communication. All right. Okay, so a child with autism may also have unusual tone of voice, which may be flat or monotone, high pitched, or always, you know, talking in sing-song nature. So this is also, although it's not usual, but there are some kids who display this. Okay. Okay, so then they also have difficulties responding to questions such as the 5WH questions, or even abstract questions like the why, the when, and the how. These are abstract because of the fact that it's very difficult for us as adults to show the students, right? Like if you ask, why are you behaving that way? It's a very abstract question, because then the child needs to think, okay, what did I do in the first place? And why is it wrong? You know, because when the child does something to him, he's doing it out of you know, out of their pure intention that they are just doing it, and they are not like expecting, they don't think that it's wrong or right. You see, they are just doing it because they think that that's the way it should be. Okay, so if when you ask them why they do such behaviors, why they display such behaviors, it's very abstract for them to think back. Okay, to questions. So this again, the WH questions does not necessarily relate or does not necessarily be more prevalent in kids with autism, but also the younger ones as well, if you realize, right? So but then as they grow older, as they sorry, as they learn on all these questions, right, then you will realize, hey, if you do teach them, maybe you know, you need to rephrase your questions. Instead of a why question, maybe you can say, oh, you know, maybe the child spilled the water, right? Then you know, as parents, we like, why did you spill the water? I told you so many times to hold the cup, so and so and so, right? So instead of saying why did you spill the water, maybe you can say, oh, you spilled the water because then you let it hang a bit and see whether the child, is able to tell you why he spilled the water and things like that. Okay, so initially, the WH questions is difficult for the kids to answer, but you just need, it's a matter of rephrasing the questions into a sentence, right? For the child to just fill up why he's doing so and so. Okay, all right. So far, so okay. Am I going too fast? If I am, please do let me know. Okay. All right, because I may have a tendency to talk very fast or move very fast. So do let me know if I am too fast for you. Okay. Okay, so we talk about the flexibility of thoughts right now. So flexibility, what is that? Okay, so flexibility of thoughts usually refers to distress when unexpected changes come. All right, or have preoccupations or obsessions with a particular object. Okay, so when they are very obsessed with something, it's very difficult for them to to so-called like switch off that obsession, and then change it back to something else. All right, so or maybe insist on doing things one way, okay, appearing to be very unaware of alternatives. So this has got to do with the perspective taking, okay. For example, is very insistent to follow the same sequence of routines, all right, like maybe wearing clothes, okay, routine care, right, wearing clothes. Maybe, he has always followed, okay, shirt first, then pants, but then suddenly daddy comes along and said, and disrupt the routine and says, no, you need to wear pants first, then the shirt. So then, some kids will be like, no, no, must be shirt first, then pants, and things like that. So it could be as small as that, or even, taking the same route to school. Okay, a lot of my parents do feedback, when they drive the kids to school, if let's say they take a different route, and then suddenly out of sudden the child may just cry at the back, or shout and like, no, 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 that's not the way to school and all that, because of the fact that the parent has already always taken the same route to school. And you'll be very surprised that the kids with autism, they can remember the routes very well. So if you do have some changes to the routes and all that, they may get very upset. Okay, so which is why I always tell parents to try different routes on different days, so that they don't get fixated to the same routes. Yeah, but again, this is if the child has a very is very insistent on doing things the same way, then you can try out different. Yes.
Okay, I have a question here. If let's say you said that they always use the same route and all that, right? So if let's say you are running out of petrol and you want to go to petrol kiosk, do you like advise the parents or the anyone with children with autism, like you preempt them, like, hey, I have to go to the petrol kiosk, and after that we will go to school. Will that help?
Yes, actually that will help, right? Especially if you know beforehand that you need to take a different route for whatever reasons, then you tell them, okay, mommy's got to take a different route because maybe petrol is down or things like that. But the thing is, it's always good to preempt them beforehand, right? Because again, especially if the kid is the kid is very insistent on following the same sequence every day, so it's always best to tell them, hey, there's a change, in routines today. All right, we are going to try a different route. Okay, and then if they say no, 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 then you say, oh, but if you don't do this particular thing, then you tell them the consequence. All right, and then yeah, usually if you have taught him about the changes, changes in routines or changes in anything, then they are usually quite fine. Yeah, thank you so much, Saza, for highlighting that. Okay, yeah, some kids also may have very limited interests or motivations. Okay, doesn't seem to like to play with other toys, only like a certain kind of toys and all that. So these are all goes under the flexibility of thoughts as well. Okay, so I'm going to show you a video of this child who has how say obsessed okay, with things lining up, and you're going to look at how she behaves when things doesn't go her way. Okay, so I'm going to show it to you right now. Let me see. Oh, hang on, yeah. Okay, it's not playing right now. Let me stop share for a while. So sorry for that. Let me just try it again and see if I can play it again. So sorry for that. Okay, can you hear?
It's all right, Charlie. Look, there. You're welcome. Oh, I'm sorry. I put it in the wrong place. Charlie, it's okay. Can we move? Can I see this one? You gonna get it? Okay, I'll take a pause while you get it.
Sorry, I think you're muted.
Hello? Okay, am I better now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. All right. So can somebody tell me what happened in the video? Why was the girl very upset? Can I have some responses? Don't worry. You can stay without the video on. Just unmute yourself and you can share with me your thoughts. Okay, I have things didn't go her way. That's right. Things didn't go her way. And then what happened? What did she do? There's an item taken away. The cup fell down. Yep. She doesn't know how to ask for help. Very good. Okay. She threw tantrums. She got frustrated. Yes, that's right. She got frustrated when things didn't go her way, right? So these are all very typical in our kids with autism, right? Yeah, when things doesn't go her way, you know, especially when she lined up and then the mom purposely sabotaging her play, and then she got frustrated. All right, especially when the toys fell, and then she was like making noise and all that. But after a while, you know, when things go her way again, did she settle down? Did she stop her crying or her whining? Did she? Yes, right? Yes, she did. So all this is actually all under the flexibility of thoughts. Okay, when things doesn't go her way, um, you know, she kids get very upset, right? But then when things go back to normal, they're usually very fine. Yeah. So just need you to think about, you know, in your daily life with your child or with your student, you know, is it when a child, you know, suddenly freaks out, you know, or throw tantrums, so-called, or, you know, suddenly cries and things like that. And, you know, usually when we ourselves, we are not sure what happened, but then when we reflect, when we think about it, could it be this? Could it be that, you know, things doesn't go her way, that, you know, she's crying? And then how can we help her to cope with it, to adjust to the situation? All right. So again, the strategies I will share a bit later in the later part of the workshop. Okay. Okay, hang on. Based on the video, it can also be easily seen as a spoiled child. Well, not quite. Okay. Be very careful about how we judge a child based on the video, because it may look like, you know, the child is spoiled, but actually, in fact, the child has this flexibility of thoughts, this issue, this challenge, whereby she can't see it from another perspective, you know, even though we may think, you know, oh, the cup fell and she can just pick it up. All right. But the thing is, she needs to get over the fact that this thing doesn't go her way. You know, what am I going to do? You know, things like that. All right. So we need to be very careful of how we judge ourselves or judge a particular individual, who we think, hey, that's just a small thing, you can just get it over and done with. But if a child has a very strong insistence on, and the thing is, when you think about it, right, when something fell or doesn't go her way, what happens? She's very distressed with the change. Okay, so same like us. If let's say, if we have a particular routine in the morning to go to work, where we always go out at 7, okay, 7 go out because the bus is coming at 7:05, and if we miss that bus, how do we feel? We get very distressed, right? Because oh no, I missed the bus and the next bus is at 7:20. I'll be very late. Oh no, even though we may not show it because we are adults, but for a child with autism, they are very distressed, and it may look as though is a very small matter. It may look as though that it looks as sorry, it may look as though it's a very small matter, but to the child, it could be a very big matter. It could mean the whole world to her or him. All right. So just be very careful, on how we look at things from their perspective, because
but teacher, I think I may agree with Amalina, because it is like a public reactions instead for those who are not aware of all this kind of autism or ADHD. They will just say bluntly like, hey,
correct.
it's just a what, right? That's
yes,
how
correct.
the public perceive. But yeah, for those who have this knowledge, they say, okay, the parents have difficulty handling this and all that, right?
Yes, I do agree as well. As a public, or an outsider, they may look as though the child is spoiled. But if we think about it, as an adult as well, I think to me, even an adult, even if you are not trained in special needs and all that, I think we just need to be very careful on how we say things, on how we judge. But I do agree, don't worry, I do agree that it may look like that. All right, it's just a matter of the understanding part. All right, okay, Ken. All right. Yes. Okay. Thank you so much, Amalina. All right, Ken. Let's move on to, okay. So what are the other factors that may affect learning in a kid with autism? So it could be, in a sense, the child may have some cognitive learning style. Okay, a different learning style, like a visual learner versus an auditory learner, as well as a sensory issue, whether or not the child is a hyper sensory issue or hypo sensory issue. Okay. Yes, on viral videos, understand that. Okay, so sensory issues is a hyper means the child is too sensitive to a particular sensory issue, or hypo means even if the place is very cold, for example, you are in an 18 degrees Celsius room, all right, but to you is very cold, right? But to a child, he may not even realize it, okay, that is a very cold room. Or if let's say a child comes very close to standing beside a fire, right, a lighted candle or things like that, and to you, it's very hot, but to the child, if the child is a hyposensitive child, the child may not realize that the heat is too hot for the child. All right, so this could be some factors that may affect the child's learning as well. And of course, the child may have other medical issues, comorbidity issue, which means that the child may have other diagnoses as well, like ADHD, or even let me see, dyslexia and all that. Okay, so it could also affect a child's learning. And of course, we do have a lot of kids, who have special talents, special interests in other areas. Like they may be very good at drawing, they may be very good at maths. Okay, I do have a lot of students who can excel in maths, but when it comes to English, they can't handle the grammar, the language, the syntax and all that. Yeah, so all of these do have an effect on learning as well. All right, okay, so it is 10:45 almost. Okay, so let's move on to to early detection and assessment and diagnosis. Okay, so this is what typically happens in Singapore. All right, if you assume, sorry, if you think your child has autism, so this is what usually happens, okay, in Singapore. So you either go for a diagnosis and assessment at KKH, NUH, or even IMH if you are from schools, I think, or you go to various VWOs or even private clinics for an assessment. If you do go to KK or NUH, it's best that you go, usually the teachers or the doctors will advise you to go to a polyclinic first to get a referral letter so that you can be considered as a subsidized patient, okay? And then from there, then I think if you're a parent of a child with special needs, you would know and understand that assessment is not easy. It's a very complicated and it's a very long process in Singapore. It may take up to 6 to 9 months for a child to get diagnosed. All right, because the queue from polyclinic to KKH itself can be quite long, and then at KKH you need to see the doctor, and then from there, then they will make you they will make a referral to the CDU, and then from there, yeah, it can be a very long process. So it may take up to 9 months or even longer. Okay, so from there, then while you're awaiting EPIC services, some parents do go for private therapies or even parent training services. I do believe KKH has a parent training service for the parents while awaiting EPIC services. And if not, after that, then the child goes through EPIC, which is the early intervention program for infants and children, or they go for therapy service like OT, ST, and so on. All this while they may continue to go to preschools and childcare as well. Okay. All right. So this is the typical so-called flow of how early detection, assessment, and diagnosis goes about in Singapore. Okay, so early intervention, when we talk about early intervention, is actually to help a child meet the developmental milestones through a professional service. So like I showed right early in the workshop, how about the developmental milestones, right? So again, if your child is diagnosed with a special need, it means that he is not meeting the developmental milestones. So usually the doctors and the doctors will tell you to go for EPIC so that they can so that the child can close up his the skills gap, okay, so that the child can have that skills that he needs at that particular age and all that. All right. Okay. So it could be in many forms of programs. There are different organizations that offer various programs to cater to the needs of the child. Early intervention is usually associated with children with special needs, but again, it can be it can be for children at risk as well. Okay. So at risk is usually, I think when the schools, especially if the child goes to a preschool, and then the teachers think that, hey, I think that your child has a learning challenge or a behavioral issue, you can still go for early intervention. But if you are not diagnosed, then you have to go for private early intervention. Okay, so again, it could also be for children at risk of any developmental delays or difficulties. Okay. Okay, so the types of services that are available in Singapore, these are all the ones that is usually associated with intervention. So the first one is EPIC. Okay, this is quite standard in Singapore. And then if your child has some oral motor issues or even a speech issue, then you see a speech therapist. And then occupational therapist is for those who needing help with their motor development, or sensory issues as well. Otherwise, the child, may go for a educational therapist. These are more usually private ones. Okay, education therapists or physiotherapists or psychologists to help with the child's mental well-being and all that. Also, the doctors, the pediatricians, social workers as well, especially if you are in either the government hospitals, okay, or shadow teachers if needed. Okay, these are also available, all right, for kids, but only if the schools allow shadow teachers in. I'm not quite sure right now with the COVID times whether or not external individuals are allowed in preschools because of the COVID measures set in by ECDA, but for my center, we do not allow it at the moment, okay? And there's
Teacher,
also
if I can pause you there.
Sure.
It is quite interesting term there. Shadow teachers.
Shadow
It's
teachers.
like superheroes of
Okay.
Are they like the external party?
Yes. Shadow teachers are usually engaged by the parents themselves to come into the schools to help support the child. Okay, so shadow teachers can help with either social skills or even learning skills for the child. So when I was a shadow teacher previously, okay, being a shadow teacher means you need to get approval from the schools. Okay, so if your child's school does not allow individuals to come in, then I'm so sorry, shadow teachers are not allowed in. But if you manage to convince your school that your child needs a shadow teacher, so then when you engage one, the shadow teacher will come into the school to help your child specifically, like one-to-one, but while the child is in the classroom setting. Okay, so when your child is going through, his learning, his maybe play and all that in the school, the shadow teacher is there to help bridge the skill that is needed for the child, in that school setting. Okay, so shadow teachers are usually engaged by the parents themselves. All right. Okay, can. Then there's also the private intervention specialists where, they are private intervention specialists are also like educational therapists, whereby they will come to your home. Either they come into your home or, the parents send them to a specific place. Okay, there are some private schools which offer intervention, private intervention as well. And then they do all the skill-based and all that, much like how EPIC is. Okay, it's just that private intervention specialists like myself, we go to the children's homes, and then we do all the intervention one-to-one. Okay, all right. Any other questions on intervention services here? None? Okay, then we can move on to intervention approaches. So in Singapore, there are a few intervention approaches which most private companies or private intervention specialists follow. So we have a few approaches, like the behavioral approaches combined, as well as the social relationship or even developmental approaches. So what are all these? It means that, these are just for your info, by the way. Okay, so we have the ABA program, intervention programs, or the TEACH program. TEACH is more structured teaching, while ABA is more of repetition and more to cater to behavioral needs. Okay, and then we also have the DIR or floor time, which is more to following the child's play and social emotional being. Yes. Okay, and then we have the PECS, picture exchange communication system. Is also a type of intervention program where the child uses pictures or even words in exchange to communicate. Okay, to encourage communication. All right, and then we also have the RDI, which is a relationship-based development intervention. Okay, and it's usually family-based. Okay, so these are the different, but there are other intervention programs in Singapore, but these are the most common ones. Okay, that you can find in Singapore. So for me myself, I am trained in TEACH as well as in PECS. So I do a lot of structured teaching in my intervention, and then how I actually fed off structured teaching as well for my students. Okay. All right, and I'm not really trained in ABA, but we do a lot of ABA. We do a lot of ABA strategies as well in TEACH. Okay, so yeah, so these are some of it. And then we also have a parent training, Hannon, More Than Words. I think there's a book about it. Some of the private companies do offer intervention based on parents training as well. Okay, so you may like to read up on it. Okay. All right. So right now I would like your participation. So okay. So I want you to go and get your handphones, and then I want you to go scan this QR code or go to Kahoot Kahoot.it, and then wait for my pin because I would like to know your responses. Okay, because I've been talking for the past almost 1 hour, so I want to check for your understanding whether or not you understood what we have gone through so far. Okay, so have you scanned the QR code? Yes, because if you have, I'm going to stop share right now, or you can go to Kahoot.it. All right, so you can go to Kahoot.it. Oh, oops, and everyone in the meeting. Yes, thank you so much, Ustazah. So I'm going to go to my Kahoot and I'm going to let you know the pin. Hang on, give me a while to get in there. Okay, I hope everybody's ready. Hang on. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen right now so that you can see the pin. So the pin is 6087408. 6087408. Okay, so I'm going to wait for my players to come in. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, come. Let's wait for a few more. We have how many participants today? Let me see, 35. So hopefully you can get 30. You can really hit 30. I have 21 so far. 21. Any others? Come, can join. Don't worry, it's very short and sweet, and there's no right or wrong. There's no. Don't worry if you got it wrong. It's okay. It's just for the fun of it, and also for us to check out our understanding. Oh, we have a Selena Gomez in the house today, a very famous celebrity. Okay, so we have 25. Is there others who wants to join in? No. If there is no others, let me see. Oh, okay. No worries if you are using your phone right now. No worries at all. Okay. Show the QR code again. Let me see. Hang on. Yeah. Let me share the QR code. Okay. So this is the QR code again. Can? All right. So if can, so I'm going to share my Kahoot again. All right. Okay. Are we ready? If we are, thank you so much, Laurie, for joining us. Okay. So I'm going to play now so that we do not. K27, good. Excellent. Okay, so are we ready? Don't worry. Once I press start, you can still join in a bit more. Okay. Not able to hear the audio. Audio as in my voice or the audio?
The audio.
The audio from the Kahoot, is it? It's okay. No need to hear the audio from the Kahoot also can. But I thought I share my sound. Okay, hang on.
My teacher, so excited. So the sound make your space like.
Can you hear now? But can everybody else hear it? The sound from the Kahoot?
That's very
Can, right?
Yeah. It's a very soft sound.
Very soft. Oh, okay. So you want it louder? Can. So the sound makes it very more interesting, is it? Okay. All right. Okay. Let's start. Okay. Okay. So understanding ASD. Very simple questions. Don't worry. Not exam. Okay. Okay. So what are the triad of impairment? What are the triad of impairment? Is it rigid thinking, eye contact, social interaction? Or is it social interaction, flexibility of thought, social communication? Or is it social skills, social communication, and flexibility of thoughts? Which one do you think is it? Seems very close. Seems very, very close. Let's see, it's 5 more seconds. Okay. So which one is it, everyone? Yes, it's social interaction, flexibility of thoughts, and social communication. Okay, so this is the official names, so-called, of the triad of impairment. Okay, not quite social skills. All right, it's more of social interaction. Okay, Ken, thank you so much. Wow, 18 of you. Well done. Wow, Nisa is on the board. Okay, so what causes autism, everybody? No definitive answer. The food we eat or genetics? Let's see. How many participants do I have actually? 27. Okay. Wow. Awesome. Everybody got it correct. There is no definite answer. Okay. Thank you. Okay, next. See, if you can answer it very fast, that's good. So autism, can it be cured? True or false? Autism can be cured. True or false? What do you think? I didn't really give the answer just now, but based on your understanding so far, can it be cured? Let's check it out. False. Okay, autism cannot be cured, but with intervention, it can be managed. Okay, to the point that I think a lot of my kids in mainstream also, once they come over to secondary school, it may look like they do not even have autism because of the intervention that they have been going through. Okay, and the strategies that they have also learned and all that. Okay, so good. Thank you so much. Okay, scoreboard. Who's on fire right now? Okay, fourth questions. Eye contact is a definite indicator of autism. True or false? Okay, eye contact. Must have eye contact. Or is it no eye contact? Oh, definitely autism. What do you think? True or false? It's false actually, okay? Eye contact is not necessarily an indicator of autism. Okay, all right, it's not necessarily an indicator of autism, although quite a lot of quite a number of students may not have eye contact, but it's not a definite indicator. Okay, all right. Okay, last question, everyone. True or false? Autism can exist with other diagnoses. Can they exist with other diagnoses? True or false? So other diagnoses could be dyslexia, ADHD, OCD and things like that. Can they exist with other diagnoses? So it is true. Okay, autism can exist with other diagnoses. Okay, in fact, I do have one student who has a total of 3 diagnoses total. Okay, autism, ADHD, and even dyslexia. So all 3 round up. Okay, so there can be some comorbidity. All right, who's the scoreboard? Who's on the third place? Yam or Yam? I'm so sorry. And then second, Ida. Good job. And first. Who is it? Ding, 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 ding. Yes, well done. Okay, runners up, Aisha and Ching. Thank you so much for your active participation. Okay, awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna leave my Kahoot now. Thank you so much for that. So I do hope I do realize that a lot of you have understood my previous points. So that's good. Okay, if you do have any clarifications, please do not hesitate to let me know as well. All right. Okay, Ken. So with that, I think it's 11:02. Let's take a 5 minutes bio break. Okay, if you need to. So it's 11:02. Let's come back at about 11:07. A quick 5 minutes break and then we'll come back. Okay, Ken? Okay, or if you're not, you can stretch your body and all that, all right? Because it's been 1 hour since we sat down, okay? Or look at the trees outside, wonderful ones, okay? All right. Thank you. Okay, so it's 11:07 right now. Hope everybody's back from their break. I hope all of you are all stretched up and ready for the next part. Okay, so if you are, so I'm going to share my screen right now. And then, okay, can. So we are going to talk about executive function right now. Okay, during this part, executive function, why I put this in, even though it's not really related to autism, is that I want my participants to have a better understanding of why we behave the way we do. Okay, and it's not just us, but also our children, our kids as well. Okay, so executive function, what is it? So in a lot of my workshops that is SN related, I will always ask my participants about executive function. Okay, so what is it? So can you just take a step back and just think about if you're hosting a birthday dinner or any other event where there is a social aspect in it, okay, in your home for 10 people. Of course, now with COVID, you need to also take note of the restrictions, right? So, but if it is about, for, let's say for example, 10 people, and you only have 1 week to prepare, okay, what do you have to do? Can I have some responses either in the chat box or even, if you can just unmute yourself, that would be great. Okay, so you have 1 week to prepare for a birthday dinner. What do you do? Have a plan, list of games. Wow, very good. What else? What kind of plan? What kind of plan? Okay, list of games. What else do you have to do? Start planning it, make a guest list, plan what to cook, menu, order food in advance. Very good. What else? Is there anything else? Food delivery and craft kits. Wow, who's this? Very good. Craft kits, attire to wear, decorations, call for food.
Normally for my children, for my child, right? Set the theme first. Is it the superhero and
oh, okay.
yes, right. There you go, Amalina, you got right.
Yes, plan for what theme? Yes, a theme. Theme, whatever goes.
Then you will follow with the cake order, right? Cake order.
Yes, that's right. Good. Clean up the house. Very typical, right? Clean up the house. That's a that is so true. Okay, but good. Okay, I see a lot of you responding. Okay, what you have to do and all that. But then, okay, since you have all of these things, right? Since you have 1 week to prepare, do you do everything like right now, even though the things are all next week? Or do you stagger it? Which one? What do you have to do first? Part by part, yes, stagger. So what's the first few things that you have to do? Okay, so I see a lot of people say staggering plan. So what do you plan first? Like Ustazah Zubaida said, order the cake first, right? Yes, order the cake first. What else? Prompt reminder, set time, plan for the team. Okay. So do you like order the cake first, or do you order the cake the day before? Or when do you order the food? Or do you clean up the house today and then tomorrow you do the rest? What do you think? Order 3 to 4 days in advance. Make a checklist and put a schedule. When do you want? Yes, plan the timing. Everybody is able to come. Invitation list first. Wow, Mr. Vel, you bake. I say, man. Wow, I would love to try that. Bake a birthday cake. Wow, that's awesome, that takes skill. I only bake cupcakes, small ones. Okay, but good. Okay, so all of you
mentioned, Miss Laurie here, make a checklist.
Yes, that's right. Make a checklist and put a schedule. Yes, that's very important. Yes, that's right. Okay, so I can see that everybody has very good executive function. These are all okay. What all of you are doing, what all of you are prioritizing, listing out for me, is that shows me that all of you have very good executive function. Okay, very good. Okay, so usually what we do is we would order the food first, right? Because ordering will take time. And then, of course, give out the invitation, or maybe invitation first, so that you would know how many people are coming. Right?
For a week, maximum 5 only,
Yeah, but if your family, your household, there's 5, so you can order, so you can invite how many others, right? Yes, but again, yeah, unfortunately, COVID times, yeah, but I can see that all of you have very good executive function. So imagine, can our students or can our children do all of that, prioritizing, listing out what are things that needs to be done, knowing when to do what at which point of time. Okay, so not all of them can do all of this. So all of these skills that everybody has just listed out or just showed me, demonstrated to me, are all actually part of this thing called executive function. Okay, now invite list all together at Zoom. Yes, that's right. I did that for my son's birthday last year. Where everybody all, we see each other on Zoom. And then I actually delivered all the small cupcakes to the kids at their homes. That is good times last year. Then this year, the one too tiring. Too tiring to do all that. But thank you so much for all your responses. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so executive function, like I said, all of you have demonstrated that all of you have very good executive function, but exactly what is it? So I'm going to show you a good video where it shows how executive function can manifest in students, in kids. Okay, all right, so enjoy. Let me know if you can hear the volume. Can you hear? Okay, great. Thank you.
Ever wonder why some children are well organized and have an easier time adapting to change than others? It's a result of how certain skills develop in our brains at a young age. Scientists call these skills executive function and self-regulation, which can be thought of like air traffic control in the child's mental airspace. Think of a young child's brain as the control tower at a busy airport. All those planes landing and taking off, and all of the support systems on the ground simultaneously demand the controller's attention to avoid a crash. It's the same with a young child learning to pay attention, plan ahead, cope with frustration, and follow lots of rules.
When executive functioning skills are working well, they're invisible. It's not like you see them in action because they enable children to be a good student, to be a good friend, to learn well. So they're just kind of hidden. It's really when they break down or when a child is really challenged by these capacities, hasn't had a chance to develop them very well, that you see problems.
Kids with well-developed executive function can deal with day-to-day worries, temptations, and obligations that pile up in their minds. They have the skills to regulate the flow of information and prioritize tasks. Executive function is one of the ways we manage stress and maintain an even keel, even as demands on our attention start to pile up. Kids who haven't developed strong executive function have a harder time directing mental traffic. Without the ability to prioritize, thoughts pile up and collisions occur, leading to frustration and anxiety.
First of all, we aren't born with executive functioning skills. Executive functioning skills are capacities that we learn. It's very important that children be in relatively predictable, unchaotic environments that are free of toxic stress, because when we are surrounded by chaos and disorganization, and especially if we're surrounded by fear and anxiety and a world that feels threatening, it's very hard for children to acquire these kinds of capacities.
Like most skills, good executive function depends on a strong brain foundation that develops in our earliest years of life. Caregivers can help by setting a good example with their own behavior, practicing serve and return interactions, and preventing toxic stress. As kids grow up through their preschool years and even into their teens, a stable, predictable environment will help them develop good executive function skills.
Executive functioning skills can be trained and taught. You do not have to give up on a child who has these problems. There are very sensitive periods during the ages from about 2 to 5 or 6, and again during adolescence, when these skills seem to be kind of growing by leaps and bounds. So you have a couple of opportunities, and ideally do both.
The human brain is an amazing thing. With practice, it can learn to pay attention, plan ahead, prioritize, and react to events as they unfold, just like the air traffic control tower at our busy airport. With help from the community, kids can learn the skills they need to thrive in a challenging world.
All right, can you hear me? Let me see, okay. So what does this video tell us? Okay, what does it tell you? It tells you that executive function is a mental process that all of us have in order to manage ourselves. Okay, manage ourselves as well as the things around us in order to achieve a goal, which is to get through the day. All right, so these are all skills that help us decide what activities or tasks we will pay attention to, and among things, it also allows us to organize our behavior over time, okay, and then override the immediate demands in favor of longer term goals. All right, so poor executive function has been associated with problems such as ADHD, ASD, conduct disorder, and all of that. Okay, all of the challenges, okay, that a child may face as they are growing up. Okay, so I can see again from our activity earlier, that I can see that all of you have a very good executive function skills. So again, what is executive function? What is all these mental processes? All right, is actually all of these. Okay, emotional control, task initiation, organization skills, our working memory, our time management, even our attention. Okay, all of these are part of the executive function skills that we need in order to have a good day in our lives, right? Okay, all right. So today I'm going to talk about some of the key executive function, that you need in your daily life. So first of all is the impulse control. So impulse control is basically helping us to think before we act. All right, and if your child has a very weak impulse control, they may just blurt out inappropriate things, and they're also more likely to engage in risky behavior. So it's really they think, so it's really they act first before they even think. Okay, so this is where some kids or some adults may think, oh, this child has ADHD because he's always blurting out, like, oh, teacher, I know, or even some adults as well. How it manifests in adults is when we are having a conversation and then this particular adult keep butting in or keep interrupting our conversation. All right, so that's also part of impulse control, executive function. Okay, so that's one. So the next one is emotional control. Okay, do we have are we able to regulate our emotions to keep our feelings in check? So kids with weak emotional control, they often overreact. All right, and they can have trouble dealing with criticism or regrouping when something goes wrong. So emotional control is like what adults see as temper tantrums in kids. All right, it may be a small matter, but then the kid will just cry or kick or throw things and all that. So this is part of executive function as well. And in adults, when something goes wrong, when we are very upset, what do we do usually as an adult? We take a step back, or we just suddenly go very quiet, or do we cry when things are very overwhelmed? But then for as adults, if you have very good emotional control, you will not cry there and then, right? You will not just like, when something goes wrong. No, usually we would just calm down, like just take a deep breath, or we go to a quiet area, and then we just let out our emotions. Okay, so as an adult, we know where and when we can let go of our emotions. Okay, but for kids, they may not know. All right, so that's where they will react then on the spot. Okay, so flexibility in thinking. It allows the child to adjust to the unexpected. So again, this has got to do with part of the triad of impairments, right? Earlier on, we'll talk about this, flexibility in thinking. So kids with rigid thinking, they don't roll with the punches. Means they usually do not, like go with the flow. All right, if there's changes especially. So when there's changes, they might get frustrated. If they have to think about something from a different angle, from a different perspective, all of this, it could be very difficult for a kid with autism, especially to think from a different angle. All right, even for us adults, if suddenly things change, are we able to adapt to the changes? If let's say, for example, a train breakdown, okay, are we able to like keep calm? Or are we easily flustered and then suddenly our mind goes blank? Okay, I'm already late for work, but then the train breaks down. So then suddenly like, okay, you sort of like freeze, right? yeah, you can think what else do you need to do, but if you are very calm, very collected, you can adjust to the unexpected. You will know that, okay, maybe I can take a cab today, or maybe I can take the bus. It's just that, then you need to inform your office, that you'll be late and things like that. All right, so that's flexibility in thinking. So next is working memory. Now, working memory is very important, all right, in our daily function. Okay, so it helps to keep the child, it helps the child to keep key information in mind. All right, so if a child has very weak working memory, they may have trouble remembering directions, even when they have taken down notes, or even when you keep repeating yourselves. All right, so a kid with very poor working memory has all of this. All right, even as adults, sometimes some of us, may even forget where we put our things. So this is all part of working memory as well. Okay, if you yourself, one moment, okay, I need to go to the kitchen, right? This always happens to me. Okay, I want to go to the kitchen to take something, to take food, okay, to take biscuits. So then, as you're walking, and then when you reach the kitchen, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to take? Do you get that? Because I do. Okay, sometimes I do. When I enter the kitchen, then suddenly, what am I supposed to do? I totally forget, blank out, right? Or when I have writer's block, or when I'm in the shower and I'm like, okay, I need to do all this. Usually in the shower, I'll be like, wow, okay, I can think of, okay, I need to do this. But then when you come out from the shower, you'll be like, okay, what did I hang on, what am I supposed to do? I just, I had it all in my mind just now, but then something happens and you forget things, right? Yeah. So everybody's agreeing with me. Thank you. So I know I'm not the only one who have this kind of experiences, but these are all part of working memory. All right, unfortunately, adults too, we also have that issue sometimes. All right, okay, so can you imagine if adults feel that way? How about the kids, if they are not able to hold all that information in mind? All right, so we need to take note of that. Okay, so next, self-monitoring. What does that mean? It means is the child able to evaluate how he's doing? Okay, so if the child has very weak monitoring skills, he may be surprised that he has a bad grade or negative feedback. Self-monitoring is also, like in exams, for example. If you have a 1 hour paper, 1 hour is 60 minutes, right? And the test or the exam has 30 questions. Usually as an adult, or if somebody who has learned, okay, how to monitor exam skills and all that, okay, monitor themselves during exams, they know, okay, I have 30 questions and I only have 60 minutes. So that means one question, you should not go beyond 2 minutes, right? Okay, because 30 times 2 is 60. Of course, it could be lesser because then you need to do checking and all that. So yeah, so sort of like, okay, let's be safe, let's do 1.5 minutes for each question. So if a child does not have good self-monitoring skills, the child, especially if the child is stuck, like, oh no, yeah, I'm stuck in this question, but then he tries and tries and tries and not realizing that 6 minutes have gone by. Can you imagine that? Or 10 minutes have gone by and he's only at question 1. So then he needs to move on. He needs to have the ability to move on from that difficulty, from that difficult question, in order to complete the other questions in time. Okay, so this is what self-monitoring and evaluation means. Okay, evaluate. If it's too difficult, I need to move on. All right. I do have some kids, in secondary schools when they are doing their math paper, exam math paper, and then they are just stuck at one question, and that is in section B or section A, and those are the 1 or 2 marks questions. And then because they get stuck so long, they only have very little time for the for the other questions, section C, where it can cost like 5 or 10 marks. All right, so this is where we need to teach them the skills. Okay, if they are not sure how long they should take for a certain question, then we need to teach them, okay, you need to time yourself. If you can't do it within 2 minutes or 3 minutes, then move on to the other questions. Okay, then when there is time at the end, then you can always come back to the question to do it. All right, so that's self-monitoring. Okay, next, planning and prioritizing. So just now in our activity, planning and prioritizing help the child to decide on a goal and plan to meet it. All right, so if a child has very weak planning and prioritizing skills, they may not know, for example, which part of a project is more important. So again, this is also tied into like the exam questions, how you monitor yourself, and then how you plan and prioritize the questions. Okay, like projects as well. Are you able to know which part of the project is more important? Is it the research part? Is it more important, or is it making sure the slide is all beautiful, all nice, very neat and tidy? Which one do you think is more important? Obviously the research and the key points that you need to add to your PowerPoint slides, right? So again, if the child has very poor planning and poor prioritizing, they may have they may not know which one to focus on more. All right, so I do have some kids whose PowerPoint slides, or whose work is very nice, very beautiful. Okay, they take so long to decorate and make it so nice, but then they do not realize that what's important is the information. All right, the information needed. All right, that is more important than beautifying, let's say, the PowerPoint slides. All right. Okay, then the task initiation. This one, I know I'm sometimes guilty of it. Okay, task initiation helps the child to take action and get started. So if a child has a very weak task initiation skills, they may freeze up because they have no idea where to begin. All right, so this in adults we call it, what do we call it? We call it procrastination, right? Who has that? I know I do, especially when it comes to folding my clothes, folding laundry. Oh my goodness, as a mother, we all know how we can procrastinate that, right? So that's also task initiation. All right. Do we have do we know when to take action, how to get it started? So for a kid, let's say for example, the project, right? We know the child knows that he has to do research, but then he thinks, oh, I have 1 week. I think I can do it maybe in later part of the week. Because he keeps procrastinating. Say, oh, I still have 7 days, it's okay. And then later on, I still have 5 more days, it's okay, still can. But then he doesn't realize that after research, he has to get the pertinent information, right? Only the important parts, and to add on to his project. Okay, so that's the task initiation part. All right. Okay, moving on. Last skill, organization. So organization helps the child to keep track of things mentally and also physically. All right, so a child with weak organization skills can lose their train of thought. So again, organization part also is related to earlier, right? Our working memory. Okay, as well as for example, like cell phone and homework. So are they able to organize all their books within the bags, or even timetable? Okay, doing timetabling, it may seem easy, but if a child has weak organization skills, it may be quite tough for them to organize their time, okay, in the day and all that. So again, adults also have this issue whereby organizing our things, let's say, like our wallets, or even our, as small as our spectacles, our glasses. Okay, if we have very weak organization skills, we may even forget where we put our glasses, even though it's on our head. Right? So again, organization can also tie into the working memory. So you can see that all these key executive functions, the skills, they are all tied up to with each other. So if we have very weak skills in one executive function, then it can affect the other functions as well. All right, so all of these skills are very important in our daily life. All right, so it depends. So if you think about it, you look at your student or even your child, does he has strong organization skills or working memory, or is he weak in certain skills? And the good thing is, key executive function can be taught. Okay, like for the video, you will know that key executive function are, the kids are not born with it. They actually learn it, okay, as we grow. So then we as adults, we need to teach them the skills, or model all the skills to the kids so that they can pick it up as well. All right. So in inefficient learners, okay, if you have a very weak executive function, the child may have difficulty assessing, organizing, or even coordinating multiple mental activities. So this is where multitasking comes in. Okay, so those some students are very good at multitasking. They can write, they can copy, they can look very well. All these are multitasking. Okay, but some students, when it comes to copying, let's say copying things from the whiteboard, they are very poor at it, because all of this takes a lot of mental activities. Okay, it involves the organization part, it involves the working memory, it involves a lot of looking up, looking down, knowing where did you stop writing, and then as you write, and then when you look up, okay, where did I stop writing? Then you need to think. Okay, all of this is all part of executive function. All right, and some kids, they may struggle with self-regulatory activities like checking, monitoring, and revising. All right. And they may also have the lack of strategies to learn. So they may not know, how to highlight, for example. They may not know where to organize their notes, how to organize their notes, or, prioritize which information is more pertinent, which information is more important, and then write it down. They may not know that. So all of these are learning strategies for them. Okay, they may also have lack cognitive flexibility. Like, when we're highlighting something, usually what do we highlight? We only highlight the key details, right? The key notes. But for a child, they may not know that. They may think, oh, I need to highlight everything. This is very important. So they will highlight the whole paragraph. Highlight, highlight, highlight. Whereas in actual fact, when you are highlighting, you are just highlighting the key information. Okay. Learners who have very weak executive function, they may also have difficulty sorting and prioritizing information. So again, are they able to pick out what is the keyword? Which one is the keyword? And then how do we prioritize? How do they sort their notes and all that? So all this comes under executive function. Okay, so why am I highlighting executive function? Is because I want you to understand that even when we talk about the triad, the impairment, the flexibility in thoughts, the communication skills, and the interaction, it has all got to do with our executive function skills. Are they able to multitask? Are they able to prioritize, organize their thoughts, organize themselves in the environment? Okay, all of this has got to do with each other. Okay, it ties up. All right. So with that, what I want you to do is I want you to reflect, okay, on executive function against your child or against your student. So I want you to go through this Padlet. Okay, I will show you how to do it later on if you're not sure. But I want you to take the QR code, go to the padlet.com/teacherfar/EF. Okay, so give you a while, 30 seconds to go to the Padlet first, and I will explain to you exactly how I want you to do it. Okay, because I want you to reflect on your child or reflect on your student. Okay, on what is it, what is executive function in your child. Okay, so I'm going to stop share now, and then I'm going to show you the executive function Padlet that is on. So you will see, you come to this, okay, executive function. All right, so what I want you to do is I want you to cite an example for each type of key executive function. So I've gone through all 8. So if you want to add in, you just put a plus sign here, and then this will come out. Okay, the subject, you do not need to write the subject, but if you want, you can write your name. If not, then you write down what do you think is impulse control within your child. Okay, so that's why I say I want you to reflect against your student. Does he have this impulse control? If he has, you can write down, let's say, for example, blurt out answers. Let's say you have a student who always blurt out answers, and that is part of impulse control. Okay, executive function. Okay, when you write it out, and then I want you to publish, then the answers will come out here. Okay, the answers will come out here. And if your child does not show that, even if your child has good or weak impulse control, I want you to highlight it. Okay, I want you to highlight it. There was a plus sign. No need to log in. You can just
Teacher, there's I think you have not shared publicly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I've not.
That's why there's no plus sign there.
Oh, I thought I did because I made this. Okay, hang on. Okay, let me stop share first. Okay, let me see. Comments, reactions. Hang on. Where is it under posting? I thought I did share it with. Okay, hang on. So sorry for that. Okay. Oh, okay. Can. All right. can visitors can write. Okay, saved. Okay, can you try again? I'm so sorry for that. Let's see.
Okay, now
Can
able to.
now able to. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so sorry for that. Okay, I'm going to show the QR code again. This is the QR code again. If not, you can always go to the link padlet.com/teacherfund/ef. Okay, so I'm going to stop share again. So, and then I can share the here. Okay, so if you see the plus, you can put in the plus. So I want you to write either even if your child shows very good emotional control or good executive function, you can just write it down. Or if your child has displays weak executive function, just write it down as well. Okay, so what I want you to do is the important thing is I want you to reflect on the skills against your students or against your child. Okay, so I want you to take time. Don't worry, we have a bit of time today. So yeah, yes, that's right. Snatching things from others is part of impulse control. Okay, good. So I want you to go through all 8 of the skills. Is that it, right? 1, 2. Oh, there are some overlap. Let me just quickly delete it. I'm not sure why suddenly there's so many overwrites. So sorry for that. Okay, so I'm going to give maybe about 10 minutes for this activity. Okay, so 10 minutes for this activity. All right. You can also add in pictures if you want to. Okay, pictures if you think it would make us understand a bit more, you can also add in the pictures. So pictures would be under GIF. So when you put a plus sign, you can upload pictures or, or the link, or even if you want to search for the image, you can also do an image search like this. And then you key in, you can key in anything. Okay, so if it's like shouting, you can just do a search, and then under GIF, okay, you can find the different GIFs or even the different images. So they will Google it for you. Okay, then you can post it up as well. So it does not have to be text, but it can be in pictures as well. All right. Okay, so I'm getting a lot of responses. Thank you so much. Okay, good. Okay. Don't worry, I think I'm able to share this with everybody. So I will download all the responses, and then I think when the moderator, Ustazah, when you will give that another email, right? Then
Yep.
Yeah, then we can share all the things that we have discussed with each other as well. Okay, so not to worry, so that we can all have a greater understanding on all of the discussions that we have done so far. Okay, so good. I've seen a lot of, oh wow, okay, somebody has already done everything. Okay, good. Okay. Okay, I like that all of you are being very specific. Good in your examples. Okay, so it's good if you can be as specific as you can be, because we are learning from each other. So I really like it that participants are learning from each other in terms of what's this, in terms of strategies, or even learning about other kids as well. Okay, because then you will realize that, hey, my child or my student is not the only one who displays all these behaviors. There are other kids as well. All right, and then we can learn strategies from each other as well. Okay, so I give you maybe 5 more minutes. Okay, I see quite a lot of responses coming in. Good. Let's see. Okay, the last one, organization, needs a bit more. Maybe I can get a few more responses, and then I can really share and look at how what are the responses that you have given. Okay. Somebody has put up an image, so cute, unstructured. Yes. I'll give 2 more minutes, 11:45, and then we shall do a bit of sharing, and then we'll go for another short break before I start on with the strategies. Okay. Okay, let's see.
I want to ask you, right? Okay. From your entire career, managing the children with the autism, right? What is the most sweetest thing or experience that you ever encounter with the child with autism? Like all these, right? The meltdown and all that. It seems like, there are flaws, right?
Yes.
But of course, they have a lot of positivity in them as well. So, what is the best that you can remember? Yeah.
Okay. I can give you 2 examples. I think these 2 are or 3, my most memorable. Okay, one from a parent's from a parent. During very early in my career, when I was fresh out of poly, and then I went on to teach in the kindergarten. I was doing double classes, so I was doing double sessions. So both my morning and my afternoon session class has kids with autism. Okay, and at least 1 or 2 in my class. And back then, it was early 2000, early 2000. So autism wasn't really something well known. Okay, and the awareness was also not that great. In fact, the awareness, I would think zero, almost zero. Okay, so because I was fresh out of poly and we learned a bit about special needs, very touch and go. So I remember teaching this one kid who is so lovely. Okay, he's so smart. His maths was excellent. He can do multiplication when he was in K1. I was teaching K1, so he can do multiplication and division as well. So he's very sweet, but he has very weak social skills. So when he was he likes this particular girl in my class. So what he does is he would always go very close to the girl, and then he would smile like, but very close. And the girl is very small, and he's quite big. Okay, so it may come as intimidating. So as a young teacher, of course, I wasn't sure how to manage it. Okay, I'll be very honest. Okay, as a first year teacher, okay, I really didn't know how to manage it, and I didn't know how to manage the parents as well, because I can understand from the boy with autism's parents' point of view, that she's also very helpless, and I can also understand from the girl's point of view, the mom's point of view, that she doesn't want that to happen, because the girl got very scared. Okay, so that I read up on autism and all that. So I decided, okay, maybe I will do a few strategies, like I will change their groupings, and then I'll make sure I'll try not to I'll make sure that they're seated on opposite ends and all that. As a beginning teacher, that's what I can do at most. All right, but I would say it's the little things that makes an impact, because till now, 20 years later, the mom still remembers me. And the mom still remembers me, and every time we meet, because we're staying in the same neighborhood and all that, and every time we meet, the mom would acknowledge me and says, how the son is going and all that. So when I was in Epic, after I moved on from kindergarten, when I was in Epic, I saw the same boy, my student, but of course he was in the primary side and I was in the Epic side. So every time I see him, he saw me and then he would smile at me and he would wave. And the thing is, he wouldn't wave at anybody else. He would just wave at me. Okay, so I thought that was very sweet, and it was very memorable to me, because until now, I must say he is the inspiration of me being in special ed. He really triggered me. He really made me, aspire to be the best that I can. for my students. So then when I was in Epic, my first day, I think I shared with you and a few other teachers, in my first day of Epic, this boy who is 6 years old, he's very big, very strong. Again, beginning, I was, I think my 3rd year of teaching by then, but I was very new in Epic. First day of work, my boy, my student, slammed my head against the floor, like literally, we were sitting down and he grabbed my head, he banged my head on the floor because of the fact that I didn't allow him to play with one of his favorite toys. So he was so angry, he slammed. And literally when he slammed my head, my tudung all came out. Okay, so literally, he was so strong, he pulled the back of my tudung out. So like it's all exposed and all that. So I was a bit shocked and I thought, oh my goodness, what just happened, Yeah, but then later on, of course, after that I got over it and all that, then later on, by the end of the year, that boy is the sweetest boy ever. Whenever we were at the swings, he would sit beside me and then he put his head against my shoulders. And that was the sweetest ever. He was the most gentle, the most sweetest boy, and I must say it was a journey with him. It wasn't easy at the beginning, but alhamdulillah, at the end it was it made me realize that it's very enriching to have.
Yes, correct. I think we share the same sentiment.
Yes.
Always the first part will be very hard and difficult, and then later on, they always show the soft part.
Correct.
Right, and that will remain. I mean, like they will touch our hearts, and we throw our passion into this field. Right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Yes. And the thing is, the boy is non-verbal. So he's not able to tell me in words, but he showed me. So I thought that was the sweetest ever. Yeah. And then another one, the last one, when I was teaching in secondary school, I was an LBS, right? I was teaching in secondary school and happened, that year my school had to be merged with another school. So it has to be merged. And then what I didn't expect is when the principal announced it to the students, my student with autism and another boy with autism as well, what they did was the most sweetest ever. I still remember until now because they were in Sec 4. Sec 4. And the thing is, when we merged, the year that we merged, it has nothing to do with them. They would have graduated by then because that year was Sec 4. And then we were merging the next year. So they are moving to ITE. And they quickly rushed right after the announcement, right, was made, and everybody everybody can go off. They actually came out to me. I was sitting at the back of the hall, and I was with my best friend, with the other teachers and all. And they came out to me and they were like, "Miss Fadilah, what will happen to you? I will miss you. Why? And they were so concerned about my well-being. And I was a bit taken aback because I totally did not expect that from them. And usually in class, they are the most. I would say, secondary school boys, they are the most like if I want to get something done, I'll be like, oh, can you guys, not waste time, but I really totally didn't expect that much love from them, and they are able to say, teacher, then I can't see you anymore, teacher, never mind, during Hari Raya, let's meet, you invite us to your home, okay, teacher, because I want to see you and all that. And it totally threw me off because I totally did not expect that from them. And I didn't expect it from the other typical kids, much more from them. So that made me, like, oh, so sweet, they are very concerned about my well-being, whether or not I will still teach in the merged school and all that. So I thought that was really cool and really heartwarming to know that I guess the impact, it means something to me. Yeah, even if it's just that little gesture. Yeah, so that was what made me like strive even more, like, okay, all these little things is really some of the best things in my teaching careers. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much also for for asking as well. And I mean, we do as teachers, I do experience a lot of things, a lot of other experiences as well. But it's really the small little things that the kids make us reflect on ourselves as well as others. Yeah. Okay. All right. So thank you. I hope you enjoyed my sharing. Okay. So I'm going to share on the executive function just a bit, just looking through your responses. So under impulse control, always want to be the highlight. That's quite typical of our kids, right? always want to be, I'm the one that you need to look at. Doesn't wait for teacher to call the child before saying. This is very typical. All right, snatching things from others, taking turns in conversations. Oh, that's good. Okay, if the child is able to take turns in conversations, allowing others to talk or share opinions, well done, good. Singing out loud. I think it's very, very typical. Yes. Hair pulling, yes, I do have some students who does this action, especially, and I realize especially when they are very stressed. When they are very stressed, they do the hair pulling, and it's really you can feel that it's not just one or two stress, but it's a few. So this hair pulling, you need to find out what's the exact reason why he's pulling the hair, because usually it's because of stress induced or emotion, something to do with self-regulation. Okay, not sure how to ask, but now better after we talk to our son many times. Okay, not sharing. All right. Touching something when told not to. This is also me, okay? Touching something when told not to. All right. And then pushing things or others when unhappy or triggered. All right. Yes, this is part of impulse control. Punch other peers while running around. Okay, good. Ask questions out of the blue, not taking turns, want to be first. Okay, so these are all examples of impulse control. Let's see. Squeezes peer's face. Oh wow, this is interesting. Squeezing, is it like too cute? Peer's face, or is it like really like it's a matter of whether or not maybe the child is reacting to something, or he just needs something on his hands. But very interesting that we have this Chris Pierce face. Okay, can. Emotional control, gets teary easily when things doesn't get her way. Okay, shares feelings, good. Show traits of attention seeking, gets angry easily and quickly over small matters. I think we have a lot of students who does this, a lot of kids who gets very easily. So this is all part of emotional control. So we need to teach them how to regulate their emotions. Okay, will scream, will get really emotional when she cannot remember number one. Oh, all right. Sudden explosive anger, cannot control the emotion, get emotional, crying when things happen to our son in school, felt better after talking it out. Good. Explains why he was angry, shouting. Please be patient. Yes, need to be patient. Get bored and always need to have different kinds of toys. Okay. Whines when supposed to ask help for help. Okay, good. Okay, flexibility in thinking, not able to accept other people's ideas. Yes, tantrum over changes. Unable to accept other ideas. Now that she's older, she's able to understand when there are changes. I will have to repeat constantly about the change so that she will not have an outburst. Yes. So I think this is what Ustazah Zubaida was talking about earlier, okay, about changes. So we need to keep on, letting them know that there will be a change and all that. All right. So good. Better in accepting changes. Good to hear that. Tantrum when asking where are we going when taking a different route. Yes, this is the part. Okay. So you might not realize it, but yes, a child, young kids or even older kids, they will realize, when you're taking a different route and all that. Even my son, he's 3 this year, and when I do drive and we take a different route, or if he sees a familiar places, then he'll know, oh, Mark, we're going to Nenek house, and things like that. So yeah, they're very observant when they're in the car or transport. Need certain routines to be carried out with a specific caregiver or location. This is also part of flexibility thinking. Okay, very rigid. Need only certain routines and specific people only. Must finish worksheet even if there's no time left. Yes. Okay. This is quite important. Or not say important, but quite evident, because usually what does the teacher say? Okay, you must finish everything within 1 hour or within 30 minutes. So even if there's no time, teacher say I must finish. So they will insist on finishing it. All right. So yes, it is also part of flexibility thinking. Okay, good. Working memory. Forget, right? Able to share. So good. Alhamdulillah that if your child is able to share what she has learned. Miss important tasks and dates. Yes. Okay. Unable to recall teachers or friends' name, calling them with hello, hello. Okay. Feelings. Yes, this is me when I can't remember things like Indulge in one activity and miss all the other plans. Okay. Recall lesson or video that I don't even remember. Yes. Okay. Sometimes a lot of kids, when they echo, or when they think back of all the shows that they have watched, sometimes they will just verbalize it. At random times. Okay. Keep misplacing, doesn't remember. Short-term memory, difficulty in retaining numbers. So if the child has short-term memory difficulty retaining in alphabets, takes a long time to understand, then we need to relook at our strategies on how we teach alphabet. Maybe the child, needs to be involved in like physical activities, have some gross motor or sensory play in order for them to remember the alphabets. Okay, so those are some strategies that can help. Use visual cues to help young children remember. Okay, good. Self-monitoring, a lot of time management, must finish this part mindset. I am smart, right? So be very careful, okay, about this. Always double check on the checklist. Good. Able to remember. Good. I haven't finished it yet. Not doing. So a lot of you talk about checklist, okay? Planning and prioritizing, may have a goal but delays in starting, okay? Setting goal, challenge, make mistakes, we as parents to him to do better. That's good, right? Gets distracted easily, yes. Yeah, so as teachers, especially if you have kids who get distracted easily, then you need to do your planning, right? Your sitting arrangements, okay? All right. This is me as well, by the way. I get distracted very easily. Want to do a lot of things in ABC, can't do this. Okay, added DEF, okay. Cancel off plans, still learning concept of time. Okay, by the way, concept of time, for in very young kids, they may not understand the concept of time until actually when they are like older, like 7 or 8 or even older. Okay, it's around there. So for the very younger kids, you can teach them, of course, but for them to really grasp the concept of time is usually in the 8 years old kind of range. Okay, task initiation usually fails to start, do finish task. Okay, able to take up tasks, wait for others, stalling, just staring at the task, takes a long time to finish. Okay, so a lot of can't really finish, right? Roams around the school and not engaged in any play areas until adult prompts and invites. Okay, good. Organization, missing things, forgetting. Okay, good. So I can see from our activity here that everybody understood the concept of executive function and how it relates to our daily living. Okay, so it's good that you can also relate to your child, to your student, and this will all help you to keep in mind, okay, when you are planning for the strategies. Okay, so the strategies can be specific to all the executive function skills. So that's the part that I want to highlight as well. Okay, so when we are talking about the skills, the strategies later on after this, is really, whether or not do the strategy highlight or does the strategy help the child in that particular executive function skills, or does it not? Okay, so it's 12 o'clock now. Strategies will take quite a heavy thing, it's quite heavy. So I would like to give another bio break, 5 minutes break, okay, before we start on the heavier, more, I think energetic strategies part, because I think everybody wants to know about that. So it's not 12. Let's come back 12:05, and then I shall go through the strategies with you. Okay, so strategies, break it now, and then we come back 12:05 for strategies. Okay, so if you have any questions, you can feel free to unmute. So far, just now I checked, there's no questions so far. But if you do have questions, you can just write it out in the chat box. Okay, can. All right. So 12:05, come back. Thank you. Okay, it's 12:05 now. I do hope all of you have come back or are coming back now. So I do see a question here. How do we know these examples shared are also seen in normal kids? How do we know? How about teachers? We have seen a lot of students either with or without special needs as well in schools. What do you think? Do we also see all this examples that we have talked about in the other kids? What do you think? How about Ustazah Zubaida? Have you seen?
How do, as for my understanding and experience, how do we want to differentiate between the typical and non-typical is with the checklist, right?
Yes.
The checklist of milestone development and all that. So in case some of the action been done is not in the checklist, then it is suspected, right? Then we refer to the parents. Is it how far he has been doing that and all that? Because it needs consistency, right? Of the such behavior. That's my.
Thank you. Thank you, Ustazah Zubaida. Then I think we do have some teachers or Zulaika and Shahira saying yes.
Can I pick one? I wonder who's from Kinderkaizen.
From Malaysia. Is it
Bukit
from Bukit
Jelutong,
Jelutong?
Malaysia.
Is there a teacher or a representative?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Okay.
Zulaika, yes.
I wish to know. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So we Xiangqi as well. Okay, so how's the kids under your care? How do they show all these behaviors as well in your center?
Yes, they do. Actually, there's a few of us here. I think some of us also raised up our hands. It was Ilya.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, a lot of us maybe they can also give some input. But yes, we do experience the same thing with younger children, especially children who are much younger, like four going on 5. So they have this almost non-functioning executive what do you call it? Functions. So they are still learning because it's something new for them, and they are learning how to interact and stuff. Maybe my colleagues would like to chip in.
Can. If there are others who want to chip in, how are your students like in schools? Are they, especially in relation to the executive function, do they display all these behaviors or not even? Can feel free to share with us as well. Anybody would like to share? Or if you have many kids, do you see all these executive functions across all your kids? Those with special needs or otherwise? What do you think? If you compare all your kids, is there a difference or there's no difference at all? What do you think?
I'll share a little bit.
Sure. Okay.
I think this executive functioning is really useful to see that it doesn't exist only in academic work. Something that is in their daily routines and transition. So I think it's very useful for the teachers to see that there are significance in routines and even like cleanup time or like putting your belongings away, finding your belongings. All those has real like in the video. I like that video you showed earlier where it's that when executive functioning is functioning well, it is invisible. So
yes.
I really like how you break down all those skills so that it helps us to highlight those to parents, because for us at Kinderkaizen, we don't have any worksheets. So it's very important for us to show parents that these are the things that we are working on.
Okay, good to know. Thank you for your sharing. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Yes. And I think let me just share, because I teach kids across, I've been teaching kids across age groups, right? So I do see especially the younger ones, I would think, because the younger ones are still learning, right? The younger ones are still learning. So even if the child does not have any special needs or otherwise,
you was the officer.
Sorry. Yeah, even if the child is very young, especially, even if the child does not have any special needs, they do display challenges in certain executive function skills, right? Yeah. So, but then in the older ones, like the teacher said, if the child has a very good executive functions, it is totally invisible. You wouldn't even realize, or you wouldn't even think about all these skills that you need. Even for us also, we didn't realize, these are all skills that we need in our daily lives, right? So if we have an impairment or an issue or challenge in one or two executive function, then you will realize we are having difficulties functioning in our daily lives. So same goes as the kids. it does. I mean, everybody has all this executive function. It's just a matter of, how much issues or how much challenges do we have with those kind of skills, and then how does it manifest in our students, right? So some students, with special needs, of course, they may display more issues, or clearer impairment in the executive functions, whereas some kids who maybe do not have any special needs, they do have some impairments in it, but may not be as prevalent, may not be so obvious as in with kids with special needs. Yeah, okay, so I hope that answers the question, whether or not we see all these examples in the neurotypical kids as well. As a teacher who has taught like primary, preschool, primary and secondary school, it does happen. I can see it across ages, be it with special needs or otherwise, they do display all these behaviors. Yes, Ustazah.
Okay. Teacher Fadilah, I feel that the educators in preschool age, right, is very crucial, where they, if let's say some impairment in the executive function, they need to communicate with the parents, because nowadays parents are working and all that, it's not like not seeing it and all that. So how do actually teachers come forward and actually inform that, hey, we noticed this, and some parents can be denial, right? No, it's the learning stage and all that and something like that. So is there any kind of way that or maybe checklist you may want to recommend to the teachers, that okay, this is how we convey our observation, and then how we convey to the parents. These things is very sensitive to parents.
It is. Yes.
I ever encounter them.
I think we all as educators
we are stuck. How are we going to tell them? So that kind of frustration, right?
Yes,
I
that's right.
believe some of you have experienced this with me as well.
Yes. So as educators, I do believe, if you are based in Singapore, we do have a checklist of the developmental milestones that the students in our charge have to cover, right? Either in mid-year or end year. So with this checklist, if your child is not able to achieve the milestone, right, we do highlight it, whether or not the child is progressing, emerging, or even strong in it. So usually with parents, what I do is I will explain to the parents, if the child has difficulties achieving all these milestones, then what you need to do is you need to get evidence, right? So this is where all your observation records come in. If you can do a video recording, then do the video recording. Otherwise, running records, or all the observation tools, okay, that you need to take note of. All right, especially when you see the behavior happening in class. So with all these behaviors, of course, when you gather evidences, right, you need to also bear in mind, you cannot gather evidence just for that one particular episode. So you need to gather as many evidences as you can of that challenges. So this is actually part of my strategy later on. So I'm going to share with you this particular strategy, which I think can be very useful for the parents as well as the teachers as well, when as you're gathering information. All right. So how to gather the information, how to gather all these evidences, and then how to present it to the parents. When you want to tell the parent, I think your child has some challenges in specific areas, and these are the evidences. So usually parents are more I wouldn't say, some parents are okay with all the evidences. Some parents, they will say, oh, but I don't see it happening at home. So that's where, if you gather a lot of all these evidences, and not just in your classroom, but maybe when you go out for outdoor learning, or when there's toileting involved, or routine care, or even refreshment time and all that. So all of this, if the behavior is happening throughout all of this timing, that's where you can present, oh, okay, then, but it's happening in a lot of the settings in our school. Then if the parents still say, oh, but he's okay at home, then you ask them back, so parents, can you tell me what strategies you use at home? Then maybe we can also implement it at school. So as teachers, we must also, be open to having that open relationship, collaboration with the parents. All right. So if the parents say, the child is fine at home, then you ask them, oh, may I know what did you do, for the child to maybe not hit others? Then you see how parents react. And then as parents as well, if you think, why is my child having this behavior at home, but but the teacher say, oh, he's fine at school, he can do this. Then parents, you can also ask the teachers, may I know the strategies that you did with my child so that I can also implement it at school. So parents and teachers, you must have an open relationship. Okay. So if you think it's not, the behavior is more at home rather than in school, then you ask the teachers. Teachers, can I know what are your strategies? Because I need help. All right. And if teachers, you think, hey, how come this student can listen to the other teacher but not me? So you ask. Don't be shy, okay, teachers. We must constantly learn from each other. All right. So teachers, you can also ask, can I know what do you do? Or can I observe how you interact with the child so that I can also learn, because I also want to learn to manage the child as well. Okay, so we must always keep in mind that open communication, that openness to learn from each other. Okay, even if you're a teacher, doesn't mean I'm all right. Okay, I'm still learning. Even I've been in this field for so long. I'm still learning from others. I'm still learning from parents. I'm still learning from teachers. I'm even learning from the other kids as well, how they interact with the kid and all that. So it's all an eye opener for me as well. Still is. Okay, yes. Okay, so thank you for that sharing. And I totally agree that parents and teachers must have a good communication and work things together. Yes, open mind is crucial, definitely. I always believe in that. Okay, so I'm going to share with you the strategies part. So as and when you think you have done the strategies, or you have not done the strategies, or you think you have a better ideas, please do feel free to unmute or share in the chat how you feel, or what are the strategies that you did to overcome the challenge. Okay, so like I said, it is a very open workshop. I really do not mind you sharing, because I'm also still learning. All right, so it's wonderful to hear strategies from others as well. Then I may not include that in my slide, because I'm only including the general strategies, which I think might work across students with autism. But again, each child with autism is very different from another child. Okay, I've never encountered two children with autism who are exactly the same. Okay, there will always be some differences, and even the strategies. Some strategies may work for some children, while the same strategy may not work for another. All right, so it's really, as teachers, as parents, how we try out this strategy for a few days, okay, or a few weeks, and see if you think there's any improvement. If there's none, then let's move on. Let's think of other strategies. Okay, don't just try one time. Oh, okay, failed. Let's try another one. Okay, because strategies, one thing I need to highlight is, even though you try it once and it fails, it doesn't mean it's a total failure. All right, it doesn't mean a total failure. It just means maybe let's try it another time. Because strategies, when we implement strategies for the first time, the child may be like, okay, what is my mom doing, or what is my teacher doing? Okay, let me just see. And then they may not react to it, you see. So you need to try it across different areas, across different days as well, and then be consistent with it. All right, be consistent. Don't be like, okay, today I'm going to gung ho, let's do this, and then the next day, maybe okay lah, no need to do. Okay, please don't be like that. If you want to try strategies out, make sure it's consistent and you do it diligently. And inshallah, when you try it consistent enough, you will be able to see some improvements or some differences, at least, okay, in how the child reacts to you, how the child reacts to the strategies and all that. Okay, so I do hope the strategies that I'll be sharing will be beneficial for all. Okay, so just bear in mind that these strategies may help to reinforce positive behaviors as well as communication strategies also. Okay, so I'm focused more on these two. Okay, on how to reinforce positive behaviors as well as the communication strategies. Okay, so moving on. Before we start, I need you to remember, okay, recognize that behavior is separate from the child. Okay, it's separate. Please remember that. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to address the behavior and not the child. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Okay, especially for the younger ones, children have very little or no experience with the appropriate behaviors. Okay, especially if they don't see it, if the adults are not modeling it, if they have never seen it. So how do they know which one is right and which one is wrong? Okay, so very little experience with the appropriate behaviors. So their repertoire of alternate behaviors may be very, very limited. They may not know, oh, I can't do this, then what can I do? What else can I do? So everybody need to take a step back, okay? All the things that we think about our child, our student, okay, take a look at it, separate it from the child. Are we addressing, so far, are we addressing the behavior or are we addressing the child? Okay, so what do I mean by this? Okay, what do I mean behavior and child separate? What is that? Okay, so let me take a look. So remember, behavior, okay, has a function. We need to understand the function of the behavior. Okay, what is the behavior in response to? Or is it the consequence, okay, that has an effect on the behavior? So behavior, it could be good, it could be a positive behavior or a negative behavior. All of us, when we talk about behavior, what are you thinking about? When I say behavior, what are you thinking about right now? Okay, when we think of our child, oh, I say, what do you think? What is behavior to us? Can you write it down? Action, okay, action, what else? Expression, good. Okay, can you give me an example of behaviors? What do you think it is? What are some examples of behaviors? Examples. Crying, good. Crying, yes, crying is a behavior. Kicking, hitting, good. All these are behaviors, very good. Pushing, scratching, okay. Do you realize what everybody is listing? What kind of behaviors is it? Stimming, mode of communication, negative, yes. All of you are listing the negative behaviors. But has anybody thought about positive behaviors? When we talk about behaviors, everybody instantly think of the negative behaviors. But what about the positive behaviors? What are the examples of positive behaviors? Saying thank you and please, good. All right, that is a behavior, correct. Smiling, giving in, yes. Turn taking, waiting, good. All right, being patient, yes. These are all positive behavior. So when we talk about behavior, we need to understand the function of the behavior. If we want, that's expected. So we seem to be least focused. Cleaning up after eating, dalam hati ada taman. Yes, all of these are behaviors. So when we think about behaviors, when I talk about behaviors, you need to think, okay, if the child is sitting down nicely, do we respond to that? Do we acknowledge that to the student? Yes, if your answer is yes, then good. But if your answer is no, you don't respond, but you are just responding to the bad behaviors, then we need to take a step back and rewind, adjust our behaviors. Okay, all right. Okay, good. I see a lot of yes, otherwise they will feel ignored. Good, acknowledge them. Very good. Okay, well done. So it's good that you acknowledge all these good behaviors as well. Okay, because even the good behaviors, they are a consequence. Okay, there is a consequence. All right. When we acknowledge the good behaviors, right? That's where they will think, oh, okay, my mommy, my teacher actually says I'm very good. That they like how I sit. So let's do it more. Okay, so they are more excited, more game to do all these positive behaviors. Okay, so thank you for your responses. Okay. Yes, we should practice more towards positive behaviors. That's right. Okay, more focus on it. Yes. Okay, so a behavior is present due to the desire or escape of the antecedent or the consequence. So behavior, be it positive or negative behavior, all right, is always present because either they want it or they do not want it. Okay, and it is in reaction to an antecedent or consequence. Antecedent means what happens before the behavior, and then the consequence is what happens after the behavior. Okay, all right. So then, okay, let me show you this competing behavior model. Okay, so it will show you clearly how we can take a look at how we can take a step and how we reflect on the negative behavior and how we change it to a more positive one. Okay, so setting event could be afternoon. Okay, it's a few hours after the child's last meal. So for us adults, after maybe 5 hours, how do we feel? In the afternoon, it's hot. How do we feel? We feel grumpy. We feel hungry, right? So target behavior, this is what we call. So the child bangs head on the surface. So suddenly, out of the blue, the child starts banging. What is the triggering antecedent? Okay, what is triggering this behavior? Okay, he sees food. So he sees food, he starts to bang. Bang. So what is the consequence? What do we usually give in if we see such? Hangry, yes, hangry. All right. So in response to that, what do the adults do? The consequence, right? The caregiver gives food because oh, the child bangs head. Okay, after seeing the food means he's hungry, so we give food. But we think that behavior is negative, right? Banging head is a self-injury behavior. So we want to change it to a desired behavior. So what's our desired behavior? The child asks for food. Okay, asking can be in a lot of forms. Okay, can be gestures, can be like pointing, or sounds, food, 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 or even words. Mommy, I'm hungry. Can I eat? Okay, so then the desired consequence, if the child does that, is the caregiver reaffirms the good behavior. Am I right? Okay, reaffirms the good behavior by how? Give the food, right? Okay, so what we want to do is we want to change this to the desired behavior. Am I right? Yes, right? But it takes time. Yes or no? It takes time for the child, especially if the child is non-verbal, or the child is very young, he doesn't have the words yet. So, but we can work towards the desired behavior. So while working, we need to teach the child at the same time, okay? Teach the child a replacement behavior. Okay, replacement behavior, especially if the child doesn't have words, okay, or doesn't know the sounds or gestures. Okay, while you are teaching all this, we also need to teach a replacement behavior. Okay, so instead of banging the head, maybe we can bang the hand instead. Bang the hand. Okay, bang the hand, not as self-injuries. Okay, not as bad as banging the head. Am I right? So then you teach. Okay, okay. So you tell him, stop, no banging head, bang hand. Can bang hand, then because at that moment in time, okay, you need to have a replacement behavior. So we can tell him stop. So then as we teach, no banging head, we bang the hand instead. And then at the same time, when the child is calm, and when we are teaching separately, then we teach about using the gestures, sounds, or words. Okay, so this is just an example. Could be banging hand, or if you have a better idea, or maybe teach straight redirecting. Yes, it is called redirecting as well. Okay, instead of banging hand, maybe you want to replace it with straight away with gestures. By all means, you may. All right, you may. But again, all this teaching has to be separate, not on the it does not have to be on the day itself, but it could be when the child is more calm, more collected, then you teach all these desired behaviors. Okay, but your target behavior, instead of banging head, you want him to bang the hand, so you still need to teach him on the spot, or as it goes by. All right, your target, you need to change it. Okay, so our target behavior changes it to the replacement behavior, and then the consequence is still the same. Caregiver still gives food. All right, so he needs to learn that instead of banging head, he can also bang the hand. Okay, so when he bangs the hand, then we quickly give the food. Okay, because banging hand is easier than saying, "Mommy, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry." By then, especially if your child is very young, he can't say in sentences or even, all that. Then by then you might you might actually lose his focus, his train of thought, and then it'll be worse. The target behavior might actually be made worse if you do not give in the consequence as fast. Okay, so so the target behavior here is the banging head. We need to change it quickly to bangs hand. So immediately you say, oh, you can bang hand, bang hand, bang hand, then quickly have another adult give in to the food. So usually when we are talking about behavior management, working towards the desired behavior, we need to work hand in hand with another adult or another child, whoever is available, so that he can seize it. So you as a teacher, when we are doing it, we are actually modeling it for the child. Okay, when we are modeling it, then he sees, oh, when the teacher does banging hand on the surface, he gets the food. Whereas if I'm banging head on the surface, he might not get the food. Okay, so that's how you teach the replacement behavior. You need to usually work with another adult, so that the child sees you modeling the appropriate behavior, and then he can follow it up. Okay, so all this, either you how about tapping his mouth? Yes, can. So like I said, the replacement behavior could be anything that you think is more appropriate than banging head. So it could be tapping the mouth. Okay, like hand signal, there are certain approaches that can say tapping the mouth, because then talk about hungry, right? Food is from the mouth. Okay, he will do that when he is excited, excited for food or excited for something else. All right. Okay, so everybody kind of like understood this part, right? Okay, so we need to target the behavior, change the target behavior into have a replacement behavior while you are working towards the desired behavior. Okay, so this is our goal here. Our long-term goal is here, but our short-term goal is the replacement behavior. Okay, so the replacement behavior could be anything. Okay, as long as it is better than the behavior that he is showing right now. Okay, Ken? Okay, so before we start doing our strategies, we need to stay calm. Okay, I love this. When little people become overwhelmed by big emotions, it is our job to share our calm, not to join their chaos. So if they are shouting, they are crying, do we also shout at them? Do we also cry with them? No. Okay, we need to model. So we must always stay our calm. I know, especially as parents, right? It may not be the easiest job, okay, but we need to try our best. Okay, even for my child, he's 3. When when he is very angry, or when he is crying loudly, or when he doesn't want to go to sleep. All right, sometimes it can be very emotional for us, right, as parents. So I'm like, sometimes I'll be very angry, like, after 45 minutes of trying to put him down, but then he still is not sleeping. So sometimes you can also become very overwhelmed. So sometimes we use words, or we use the tone of voice that may not be that may not be appropriate, but we need to take a step back after that. Like, okay, my child is already very upset right now. Do I join in? Do I still shout at him? Then we need to like calm down, and then quickly like realize that, okay, if he or she is very angry, very upset, we need to always stay calm, because the child can feel our emotions. Okay, so when we are calm, they know, okay, mommy's calm, so let's try to be calm as well. Okay, all right. So for example, here I give an example with my student here. My student back then was secondary school. Okay, secondary school. At secondary school, he is still crying. He was very upset about something. I can't recall. I think maybe the teacher scolded him because he didn't he didn't submitted homework, or he didn't he didn't stay back after school to complete his homework. So he just went off. So the teacher was very angry the next day, and he started to cry and hyperventilate and really cried, like tears and all the mucus are coming out. He was, I think, in sec 2 back then, so very big boy. Okay, so but because he's crying, he's really crying, the more I talk to him, the more you talk to him, then the more overwhelming it becomes. So what I did was I wrote down instead. So calm down. So really, even though he's a very big boy, but the strategies I use is still, I still have to still go down to that level, if he's very upset. So I wrote it down for him. Then we did count down, and then I give him a choice. Okay, either more time to calm down, or is he ready to talk about this? Because back then I didn't know why he was very upset. Okay, so I'm not sure why, but yeah, so I needed to know why, right? So again, he is not ready, so I give him more time, and then I give him, okay, an option again, count down from 10 or 5. So he chose 10, then we did 10, and then because I didn't want it to like keep on going, right, count down. So I say, okay, by the end, then we start. Okay, so at the same time, while he's coming down, I didn't say anything. I was just, as he comes down, I see that he's coming down. I actually told him, reassure him, okay, good, calm down. Also, you speak in a very low, relaxing method. Just give him time. We need to calm down. Even for ourselves also, you think about it. If we are very upset, do you like it if people, keep on shouting at us, or, if people nags at us? Do you think you will like it? No, right? So same goes as kids. When the kids are, very upset, we also need to stay calm. Yes, I see somebody raising their hand. No? Okay. Quickly come.
I think Siti Suliani, is it?
Yeah. Is there any question? No? Okay, maybe not. All right. Don't worry about that. Okay, so it's a matter of I know staying calm is not easy, but how do we stay calm? Just be quiet. Just be there as a support system. Know that the child, has you by themselves, by their sides. Okay, being calm and all that. So just go through with it. But again, if you're in public places and all that, I know it's very difficult. So especially if the child is lying down on the floor, so just making sure that the child is safe. Okay, that's the most important thing. The child is safe, and there's still room for others to walk by and all that. If not, scoop them up, quickly go to a quiet corner, and then just let him calm down. Okay, my child, when he was 1+ or 2 years old, I remember him crying very loudly along the corridor of downtown east, in front of NTUC. I remember that. And I just let him cry. Okay, I made sure I'm at the corner. I'm at the corner, and just because he was very upset, I didn't want to buy for him a toy or what, but he was very upset. So he was but because he's 2 years old, very typical, right, for a child that way. So I just let him cry. But at the same time, I go down to him and say, okay, when you're done, let's go. Okay, because whichever, or I'll give him a choice. Okay, I give him a choice. Okay, do you want to cry here, or then distract him, right? Or let's go let's buy a drink. So it really depends. Okay, so if you want it to be quick and you know a way to distract the child, by all means do it. Okay, but the thing is, don't shout at them, like, or you say like, oh, stop crying, that sort of thing. So it's a matter of
normal.
It's normal, yes.
It's normal response. I mean, like, we often forget our reaction and response, how we react and how we respond. I think it's the same with your son and my son as well, crying loudly, and suddenly, we know all these theories already, right?
Yes,
but then we react like, hey, please, it's embarrassing, and something like that. But then when we start to calm down and compose ourselves, then we start to ask them, I know how you feel. I know you're feeling angry. Tell me why you are crying. Then, trust me, the child will answer you. I want dinosaur egg.
Yes, that's right. So again, as teachers,
why he's crying?
Yes, that's right. Even as teachers, when we are parents, we will forget, on that moment, all our strategies all down the drain. But when we suddenly snap out of it, then we realize, okay, we also need to stay calm. So as a parent and a teacher, we usually like parent mode first before teacher mode. Okay, always stay calm first. Then after we stay calm, then we can address the behaviors. Okay, so again, some of strategies that you can think of is plan ahead. Write it down, draw it down step by step. Allow the child to interact with the plan. If you're going out maybe to the zoo, right, and if you know the child has certain ways or certain interest in it, then you ask the child, you print out, Singapore Zoo's map is online. Then you get him to circle, okay, what are the animals you want to see? Okay, let's plan. But you must, when you plan ahead, you must also think of changes as well. Okay, now because Singapore Zoo, if you have not gone in a while, they are renovating quite a lot of things. Okay, I just went there a few months ago, 2-3 months back, and they are renovating quite a lot of things. So some of the exhibits are down. Okay, so you plan ahead. Then you must also include instructions on changes. Okay, what happens if the exhibit is closed? So when you are there, then you say, okay, remember, things may not go our way. Sometimes it can rain, heavy rain, then we have to stop and pause and all that. So we need to plan ahead. So planning can be like in a form of option. Okay, I am going grocery stores and gas station, and then we can go McDonald's. Okay, so always when you're planning, the last part is always something more interesting for the child. Or if the child is on pictures, okay, so these are called work systems. Okay, our session schedule, okay, plan. Once they have done, they can interact with it. Okay, then they can transfer to completed. All right, so again, it really depends on the child. Let me just highlight that. Okay, if your child is not at this stage, please, you can use a simpler one like this. This is very typical in an epic setting. A visual schedule like this. So once the child has done something, then they will interact with it by picking the picture out and then putting it down into this finish box. Okay, all done. Or if your child is at a higher level, you can do a checklist. Okay, so you can print it out in pictures or in words, whichever you prefer, and then get the child to tick it off. Okay, so just as long as the child is able to interact with the plan, that would be great. Okay, because then it gives a child a sense of ownership, a sense of independence as well. Okay, so that's planning ahead. Give advance warnings. Okay, so many children, like I said earlier, they are unaware of time. Counting down helps. I do have some feedback from parents, I believe, or even teachers who have given me your participation case study that you tried counting down and it helps. Visual timers can also help to increase the awareness of time. Okay, visual timers is as in a stopwatch and things like that. And practice. Okay, you must always practice for all this. Practice during times of low stress. Okay, not like that and then you say, come, that's 3, 2, 1, let's go, let's go, let's go. But if the child has not been exposed to all this counting down and all that, it may not work at all. All right, so always when their child is relaxed, or like during refreshment time, you can say, okay, we have 1 more minute or 5 more minutes before time is up, and then 1 more minute, and then you can do a 10, 9, 8, so on and so forth. Okay, so always practice when they are more relaxed. Okay, then they get used to the advanced warnings, and advanced warnings can also be for changes. Yeah, so when you practice it enough times, when there is a sudden change in routines or whichever, it will be easier for the child to handle it. Okay, so always provide choices because it gives the children a way to feel that they have some control over their lives. Okay, when they are very young, usually the parents or the teachers will dictate the timing and all that. But it's always good to give choices like this. Okay, like it's choice time. So what can they do? You can either eat, watch TV, singing, drawing, or whichever. You can give. If you are just starting out, I would recommend you to just give 2 choices. Okay, instead of all this. And please make sure you have all of this on standby when you give choices. Okay, don't give choices of all this like eat, watch TV, singing. And then when the child says, I want to watch TV, you say, no, cannot. Okay, then that's not a choice at all. Okay, so you give what you're willing to give to the child. So it's still, they still have some control, but yet you are still within that control. Okay, because you are the one giving the choices. All right, so once the child gives selects the choice, make sure you go through with it. Okay, same goes if you're planning for activities. If you want the child to clean up, you can say put your toys away and then bubbles. This is a first then schedule strategy. Okay, first then, okay, which works more for the younger ones. Okay, so you can do a first put toys away and then bubbles. So you can see this, you can see there's a difference, right? Visual choices, sorry, all these visual supports, they come in many forms. Okay, can be like this, these are called symbols. Okay, symbols, and then we also have pictures or photographs of the actual thing. Okay, so if your child is very young, below 4, or if your child is does not understand all these abstract pictures. Okay, pictures are very abstract. Okay, then you go down to a more concrete level, which is either photographs or the material itself. Okay, or the bubble, yeah, the material itself. That's a more concrete. Okay, especially for the younger ones. Okay, avoid saying no. This is very difficult. Okay, we can say no, but then we also need to support it with something else. All right, so tell students what they can do instead, and be explicit in your instructions. If you want them to sit down, tell them. And even when they're sitting down on the chair, they might put their legs up and all that. So then you need to know, you need to tell them how exactly they need to sit down and all that. And then choose your battles. If you think maybe sitting down, they are sitting down but their legs are up, but your objective is for them to pay attention to the teaching, for example, then you choose your battles. Do you want to insist putting their feet down, and then like the child, when their feet is down, they can't like maybe balance or something like that? Or are you willing to like let go, say, okay, never mind, he's still sitting down and still paying attention to me? Okay, so then choose your battles. Okay, ignore the behavior but not the child. Okay, so like here, rug rules. Okay, sit, raising hand, facing forward, crisscross, hands in lap. So all this is very typical in preschools or even for us, right? When we're at home. But if the child is sitting down crossing legs, but maybe they have they will move like this, but they're still paying attention to you. Okay, so choose your battles. Do you want to insist hands down? cross your legs, or even if they are sitting on the floor, but maybe for a young child, they may not, they may have difficulties crossing their legs, so they have their one foot up, or or they are just putting their legs open apart. Are you willing to like close one eye and just let it slide? But they're still able to pay attention. So yeah, choose your battles about that. Okay, so I'm going to show you a video. I think we have time for a video on this about ignoring the child. Then what happens if you ignore the child too much? Okay. Sorry. Can I pause it?
Hey, Mr. Q. Did you see that? Why would somebody do that?
Please go into the classroom.
Sorry. You can hear the sound, right?
Quietly.
Hey, Miss Merida, how you doing?
Is that sound right now?
How do you think that makes us feel?
Yeah, can.
Okay, can. Thank you.
I forgot my number.
What's your name?
Jordan
What's your last name?
Carter.
All right. Go ahead.
School is hard enough.
Come on in, sit down quietly at your desks, and begin writing.
This kind of stuff just makes it harder.
I said quietly,
So
please.
the video is laggy though.
Who's talking?
Was it? The video is laggy.
The teacher is a bit laggy.
You,
Yeah.
Sophie?
I'm not sure with the rest, but on my screen it's quite.
Please just
Okay.
watch.
I'm not
Mine's
up here
okay.
for me, I'm up here for you.
Okay,
Is
let's see.
it from the
Now somebody answer me. Somebody needs to answer me
PowerPoint,
really fast.
the video?
Yeah, the
Or
video.
do you have the link YouTube?
Okay, let me just check it out. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Perhaps the
Yeah,
YT
yeah,
link
from
will
the-
have there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Hang on. Okay. Wait. Okay, I will share it later. Then I will need to find it. So let me just continue first. Then later on, then I will share with you the PowerPoint again. Okay. All right. So sorry about that if it's lagging. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next strategy. Use pictures. Okay, so most kids with autism, they are visual learners. Okay, so with visual learners, it's very easy to draw, if you can draw, or even use videos or use pictures to create. Oh, sorry, to create visual supports. Okay, or in this case, what I did was I create a social story. So if you look at this social story, can you tell me what am I trying to imply here? What am I trying to teach? Turn taking, good. Yes, that's right. Okay, I'm teaching turn taking. So what I have here is if the child has difficulties turn taking, you can do a social story like this, or like this. Okay, turn takes. So I have both pictures. This is my own drawing when I was teaching turn taking to kids in primary school level. I believe P3, P4. So the child in question is unable to take turns. He have difficulties taking turns. So what he does is he often pushes, or he would insist, oh, it's my turn, fights over with his friends. So I decided to draw this out, and then I teach him how to take turns. Okay. So you can see that, even though the child is in primary 3, primary 4, primary 3, I think, he knows how to read, but I put it in visual, more visual form. Okay, I draw it out for him so that, when we use pictures, it gives a more clearer understanding. It also gives a visual representation of the words, because words, right, can thank you. The words can be they can read, but it might not have any meaning to them. Okay, it might not, like, the comprehension might not be there, so it might not mean anything to them. So with pictures, right, with color pictures, or if you can find online about social stories and all that, or videos, is more believable in a sense, because it is more pop-up. Okay, it gives them more meaning. All right, so when we take turns, so that's why I draw. So I need to take turns when playing with friends. Taking turns mean I need to wait for my turn. So while waiting, what can they do? So when we are teaching taking turns, we don't just teach, no, you need to take turns, okay, take turns because your friend is doing it now. So you also need to teach, so when I'm waiting, what am I supposed to do? So that's why all this come in. See, while waiting, what can you do? So while waiting, I can look at my friend play, or put my hands down, or wait silently, or cheer, okay, or clap my hands, or say your turn to your friends and all that. So we also need to teach two things, okay, that the why we need to take turns, and while waiting, what can you do? So usually kids with autism, this is the part that they have difficulties in. If you say you can't run, okay, then I jump, hop, 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 hop. Because of the fact you say you can't run, right? So then you need to know, okay, I can't run, then what can I do? So you need to teach very explicitly, because kids with autism, if you look at the flexibility of thought, okay, that part, they might not be able to know or understand that when you say don't run, it means walk. Or when you say taking turns, okay, take turns, it means all of this, okay? While waiting, what can they do? So we need to teach it very explicitly to the children, okay?
Teacher, I want to share my social story as well.
Can.
So this one was a development. We often find social stories about going to churches and all that, right?
Yes.
So this was my collaboration with my teacher Q last time. So yeah, I'm sharing.
Sure.
Okay, so this is the social story about informing the child with autism how how do they react or their response when they go to the malls. So it's actually like, if you intend to go to certain malls, you can put the mosque picture there, like Al Islam mosque picture like that. So you inform them this is the mosque. Okay, on every Saturday you'll be going to the mosque with your daddy, something like that. With the calendar. So they're expecting, oh, Saturday I will go to the mosque. Okay, so when I enter the mosque, you need to be quiet, good behavior, and then we will take wudu, and then we will pray together. And now because of the pandemic, we have to inform about 1 meter distancing. All right. So in the mosque we can read the Quran, and then most of the malls got this vending machine, right? And
yes.
all kids love vending machine. Yes. So we can buy food from the vending machine, and then after that we go home and we are happily ever after.
Yes, that's right. Thank you so much, Ustazah Zubaida, for sharing that. That's really cute. Yes, I remember you sharing with me about this social story, and it's really lovely to see that. Yes, and social stories can be exactly like that in the storybook form. Okay, where you have pictures, you can create it like Ustazah Zubaida has done through. I think you will use Microsoft Word, is it? Or the shapes?
It's PowerPoint, just
PowerPoint.
PowerPoint.
PowerPoint. Okay, so doesn't have to be drawings. It could be PowerPoint, or you can find there's also resources online also for you. But if you want more specific, yes, Teachers Pay Teachers. Yes, my favorite. You can find free on.
I want to share with all the educators and parents. Teachers.com is a very good tool. If you search PECS, there's a lot of things that you don't need to Google image and all that. It's all ready for you.
Yes, that's right. Yes, and there's also free documents for you to download from Teachers Pay Teachers. You just need to find check the free ones. Okay. All right, Ken. Thank you so much for your sharing. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So apart from that, so like I said, there's a lot of resources online you can find. So apart from that, another good strategy would always be preparing favorite objects, okay, to help with transitions. It's also great as break time activities or distractions. So these are small little things that you can bring along outside, or if you're in the classroom setting, you can also prepare a calming down corner, preferably somewhere away from noise, a calming area that the child can feel safe while exploring calming toys. Okay, so calming toys can be anything, can be a microphone to just shut off the sounds, classroom sounds, or even you can do I don't have it in my
you know the infant sensory toolkit now.
Yes, yeah.
That the kids all was looking forward.
Yes.
the Pop-It.
Yeah, Pop-It. Yes, the Pop-It. I have the Pop-It somewhere in my room right now. But it's somewhere. I think my son has took it and played somewhere. But yes, you can do anything that is even you can tie up a water balloon. Don't make it so big so that the child can squeeze it, squeeze balls and all that. Okay, so you can use that as well. to make the child calm. All right. So another one could be allowing time to complete the task, practice skills at own pace, be specific when giving praise and feedback. This is also very important. Break down tasks into smaller steps, especially if the task is very big, or involves a lot of steps. Okay, demonstrate steps and then have the child repeat the steps one at a time. Okay, a good example that I always give parents or teachers would be, you think about tying shoelaces, maybe tying shoelaces, or even wearing shoes. Okay, don't say tie shoelaces. Okay, wear shoes. How do we wear shoes? Okay, think about it. Wear shoes. We need to wear our socks and then take out our shoes, socks, shoes, and then just put in the left and right. Yes, to us we think it's 4 steps, but to a child with autism it could be much more steps. It could be finding the socks, right? Find the socks. If the child doesn't know where to find the socks, then how? Okay, finding the socks and then wearing the socks is one thing also. Your child needs to know to hold the sock and then put in your feet, which feet, through the hole, right? And then he also needs to know how to pull it up. So that's already, take the socks, put the feet in, pull it up, already 3 steps. And then need to take the shoes. Take the shoes. If the shoes is inside a closed shelf, then open the door of the shelf, take out the shoes, close the shelf properly, then put the shoes down. After that, need to arrange the shoes, right? If they are not sure left and right. Okay, for example, let's say the child knows left and right. So need to open up the Velcro part, right? Open up the Velcro part and then put in your feet, put in the feet and then close the Velcro. 10 steps already, and that's just for one feet. Then another feet is all added up. So if you think about it, if you break it down, it's actually a lot of small steps. All right. But for us, because we do not find it challenging, we may feel like it's a breeze. But for a child with autism who has difficulties organizing their thoughts, who have difficulties with working memory, the organization part as well, right? Planning, it may be very difficult for them. So then we need to break it down. Okay, maybe let me wear the socks for you. So the only thing they need to do is put in their feet. So we open up the Velcro for them. And the only step they need to do is just put the feet and then maybe close. Maybe they can close it. So we break it down for them. Okay, you want tiny success, you do that. And then as the child is able to put in their feet and close it independently, then you take a step back and you add one more step. Okay, you put in the socks for them, but then this time you put the shoe beside their feet and you ask them to open up the Velcro. Okay, or just open up. So it's one more added step. So just open up, but because they know how to put their feet, right? So they put their feet, close. It's all independent, right? So do it that way. It could be in that form, okay? Yeah, then you can also, again, demonstrating the steps and then repeating the steps one at a time, okay? So that's how you take a look at, take a step back and knowing how to break down the task into smaller steps, okay? And then working towards achieving the whole sequence of steps, okay? Okay, so another one is provide hands-on materials and experiences. Again, especially for the younger kids, they love hands-on materials because that's where they learn. Okay, if you are just teaching or you are just telling them what to do, but you are not showing them, they are not experiencing them, that's where you will find that teaching is harder. All right, so if you need, provide the hands-on materials and set the experiences as well. Set a routine so the child knows what to expect. Provide visual schedule of activities that can be understood by the child. So again, this is earlier we have done that. Use short and simple sentences to ensure understanding. So if the child has very poor working memory, do you straight away give a 3-step instruction like, can you please take your bags and your shoes and don't forget your water bottle and then wait for me at the door? That's a lot of steps, Take your shoes, take your bag, take your water bottle, wait for me at the door. That's 4 steps, a 4-step instruction, So if you want it to be successful, you can just say, okay, take your bag. Stop, wait for the child to take the bag. Okay, can you take water bottle? Okay, or if the child does not understand long sentences, then you just say bag, take the bag. Water bottle, let them take the water bottle. And then shoes, then sit down, wait. That's it. Okay, so depending on the child and depending whether or not the child is young or much older, if the child has very poor working memory, can't have all these multitasking things to going on, then you use short and simpler sentences, okay, to aid in the understanding. Speak slowly and leave pauses. Okay, leave pauses for the child to process your words. This is important, especially if your child has a working memory, that is not that great, okay, quite poor. So then, but the thing is, eventually the child can do it. Okay, then you realize, hey, if I give like that much pause, when I say pause, usually, right, usually for us, if I give you an instruction, okay, so the past few times I give instructions, can somebody put in your responses in the chat? So I wait, right? Then I wait, there's a few responses coming in only after a few seconds. Am I right? Because you still need to type and all that. But what if I say, can everybody write your responses in the chat? Nobody, no responses? Okay, then I give you the example straight away. I'm not giving you time to process my question, then process your own actions as well. Okay, so I myself need to give time for you adults to carry out your actions. So what more for a child? Okay, for a child, the processing time can be a bit longer. What more a child with autism? Okay, so I have a kid whose processing time can take up to 10-12 seconds. So when I give an instruction, I actually will wait. But if it's too long, usually I will supplement it supplement it with a visual support, so that if my instruction, my auditory input is processed too long, so then with the visual instruction, she sees it and it's an immediate reaction to it. Oh, okay, I need to do this. Straight away, the child can do it. Usually with pictures or with visual instructions, it works much better in my experience. Okay, so as a start, all these instructions, if you do it in visual form, make it a routine. Okay, make it a routine. So once the child knows and is very independent with the routine, with all the visual supports and all that, then you can take away the visual support, and the child can, because you have already matched it, right? Match your verbal instruction with your visual instruction. So when you take away, let's say, the visual instruction, so you just need to say shoes, the child is able to relate. Okay, shoes means shoes, the picture shoes, so she straight away take away. Or if you take away the verbal instruction and you just give her the verbal the visual instruction, shoes, she sees the pictures of the shoes, instantly she knows what to do, because of the fact that you have already set a routine for the child. Okay, so let me see. Is it the same as prompting? Yes, it is the same as prompting, but prompting happens after you give the instruction. Okay, prompting happens after you give the instruction. So let's say you give the instruction shoes, and then you wait, you leave a pause, right? Wait 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, and the child is just sitting down there, not doing anything. Then you prompt. Okay, you can prompt using a verbal prompt. You can say shoes, you tap. Okay, tap because you want her to pay attention to you. Okay, get the joint attention, so you can tap. Or you can call the name Lisa, shoes, then you wait. Okay, if your child does not respond, okay, because you have already given a verbal prompt. Okay, if the child doesn't respond, then you can maybe add the prompt, the verbal prompt, to a visual instruction. So you can give the picture of the shoes and say, Lisa, again tap to get the joint attention. Lisa, shoes, let's go. Then there's a prompt as well, okay? Because prompting happens after you have given an instruction. All right, okay, can? Okay, next, linking new information to known information. I think this is for the teachers. Okay, you need to link so that the child knows that whatever you're teaching is actually associated with a past lesson. All right, for parents as well, if you're teaching maybe a social skill at home, you can link it to maybe like, okay, do you remember when you were sad yesterday? Or you can say, oh, just now you were sad, you were crying, right? Okay, then when you want to teach about crying, about sadness, right, about emotion control, then you link it. Okay, we are talking about how to deal with sadness or anger management, maybe. Okay, how to manage the anger. Then you can link it to something that he has already experienced. Okay, remember the time when mommy didn't give you the toy? How did you feel? You feel angry, right? Yeah. So today we are going to talk about anger. How do we manage our anger? Okay, so again, linking so that the child knows, can connect his own experiences to what you're teaching. Okay, reduce the amount of copying he has to do. So this is more for the teachers. Okay, if you are doing a lot of copying, so reduce that. So get him to maybe highlight the words instead, so that the time required to copy is minimized. Okay, and then he can focus on you more. All right, rather than copying the answers or whichever. Okay. Communication skills. So again, like I said, we can speak slowly and deliberately. Say one instruction at a time and check for understanding. Label objects with words and or pictures. So this is could be at home or it could be at school also. You can choose to label your objects with words. Usually I would label words with pictures so that it's easier. Okay. Provide assistance and positive reinforcement as the child shows ability. So again, if the child is able to do something which he previously could not, reinforce that. Say, oh wow, but you know, when you reinforce something, you need to be explicit so that the child knows, oh, I did this, and my teacher or my mommy is happy. So then he will be, more motivated to do it more. Next, model correct speech patterns and avoid correcting speech difficulties. So if the child, is trying to request from you, maybe say, maybe your goal is to say, mommy, I want biscuits, please. Okay, but then the child may say, I want biscuits, not okay, but then the child may not say mommy or may not say the please, and then you say, no, can you say the food? So you insist. Okay, so when you are insisting on it, your child may not realize that that what you want him to do is the mommy and the please. If you're wait, let me see how should I sentence structure this. Sorry. Okay, so when you immediately cut it off and then you say no, that's not the way. Can you try again? So when you do that, right, even though he says I want biscuits, it's correct, right? His communication skills is correct, but you are more but you insist on that. So when you're insisting on that, you may teach him that these 3 words, I want something, is wrong when it's actually correct. So when you want to model the speech patterns, you do it not during that period when he's asking. Okay, so again, at that point in time, you do not do the teaching part. Teaching part comes after that. Maybe after, when he's eating, when he's calm and all that, then you say, oh, can we try the next time when you want to ask, can you say my name? Okay, if not, who are you talking to? And things like that. All right. So usually when I was teaching my son, for example, how to request. So what I did was either I ignored his request, or I say, oh, who are you talking to? Are you talking to me? Oh, okay. So, mommy, I want biscuits. So I modeled it. Then I quickly gave it to him. For the fact that because he asked me correctly, he said, I want biscuits. But because if I do want him to say mommy, then I'm just modeling, but I'm not saying, oh, you're wrong, and things like that. We are just doing the modeling. So then quickly give because of the fact, oh, I like how you say, I want biscuits. Okay, give. Okay. So be patient when the child is speaking, especially if it's a very long sentence, and you can literally see him or her, thinking about his sentence. Okay, so just be patient with that. Use storybook sharing. This is also good in to encourage communication skills. Okay, so when the story is being read to the child, so then you try to get him or her to answer questions. Okay, so again, this is it could be very impromptu, or it could be very in a relaxed manner, right, before sleeping or things like that. Just so to encourage her or him to share responses with you. Okay, practice that. Okay, so again, I said this earlier, set a routines, provide opportunities for the child to play or interact with one another. Again, I know with COVID times it's very difficult for play dates, or play groups and all that, but as and when, if we go out, if we go out and we see other kids, we can just, say, hi, hello. That's also part of social emotional development. Okay, knowing how to say greetings, right? Hi, hello, and then move on. or smile, or so again, children learn through adults. Okay, so we as adults, we must also model. So when we see other kids at the playground or what, you can just wave hi, hello, and then you will realize the child will pick it up. Okay, so do small steps. If you are expecting the child to full on play with the child and all that, when the child maybe may not be used to it, then we need to set back. We need to take a look at our expectations again. Okay, when we want them to play with each other, we do it in small steps. What's our expectations? Okay, maybe the first time, maybe just sit and play together, but not necessarily talk to each other. Then next time, maybe you can maybe they can do shared play. Then they're playing together, they're sharing the materials, but not necessarily talking to each other yet. Okay, so we have to build it in small steps for the kids, especially if they are not used to playing with others. Okay, it could be in home context or in school context. Even with siblings as well, they may know that, oh, they have a sibling or an older brother or older sister or a younger one, but if they are not taught how to play with each other, then we can't expect them to straight away know how to play with each other. So you need to be the model. If it's at home context, then you have to sit down with them and then you play with your child, with the sibling in front of him, and then slowly, oh, can you help Abang to do this, or can you help mommy to do this with Abang? Just do one small thing at a time. But the important thing is for the child with autism to know that that he sees you playing with the child as well. You can't expect him to play with the child if you yourselves are not playing with the child, with the others, with the sibling. Okay, so that's very important. Right, explore feelings through use of play or social stories. Okay, teach children to express their feelings in age appropriate ways. Okay, so let's say if the child is angry, you can't expect the child to stop and say, I'm angry, mommy, I'm angry, and then you ask, why are you angry? But if the child is a 4-year-old child, he does not understand why. You can't force them to tell you why he's angry. So you need to teach them. Maybe if they do not know why, then you can say, is it because something happened, or is it because you could not, let's say, could not fix the Lego? So then you show them, cannot fix Lego? Oh, it's okay. We can, no need to be angry, things like that. Okay, so we need to take a step back again. As parents, we need to know and realize, is it age appropriate at that age? Is the child able to say the why? Reflect on their actions and say why to you. Okay, the reason. All right, and when dealing with conflict,
if I may interrupt that. Okay, suddenly the best, instead of asking why, is what
yes, what made you angry? Yes,
what
yes.
made you angry? Sometimes the child cannot process why I feel so angry, right?
Yes,
so when we ask what made you angry, then they will point out at the Lego, right? So we understand, oh, something wrong with the Lego. Okay.
Yes, correct. Correct. Yes, thank you. Yes, even pointing, like what Ustazah Zubaida said, even if they can't express it in words, but when they are pointing, it's actually, they're telling you something, right? So that pointing, you accept that reason. So then you look, oh, is it because of the Lego? Then you try to find out why. Like, oh, Lego can't fix, then yeah, and so on and so forth. Okay, so good, thank you so much. So like I said, when dealing with conflict, explain what happened in very few words as possible. Use a calm, not angry voice. Okay, so again, I don't usually, when the child is having difficulties, then I don't usually, say, oh, I don't usually go into a story and, long-winded and, try to tell the child what happened or why, it's not happening and all that. Yeah, so I will just like make it short and sweet and then move on from it. So again, because if the child is, very upset, when you're trying to do the teaching part, they may not accept it. So always when you're doing the teaching part, it's always when the child is very calm. The child is very happy, able to, sit down, maybe have some joint attention with you. Then that's where you do the explanation or the teaching part. Okay. Okay. Next, point out the consequences of the behavior. Again, all this can do it when the child is calmer. Okay, point out the consequences like, oh, if you throw the Lego at me, you see, oh, mommy, it's very painful, or if if there's blood trickling, you see, oh no, I need a plaster now, you point out to the child. Okay, and then use language to describe feelings. Okay, because earlier, if you remember the social interaction part, the child may not understand your facial expression, so use language to match it. Okay, to match your feelings. Say, oh, I'm angry. Okay, oh, I see you are angry. So again, match it with the emotion. Okay, if necessary, put a mirror in front of the child and say, oh, look, oh, you are sad, you are crying. So again, use the language, and because you're using the mirror, so she sees it. Okay, the child sees it. Oh, this is angry, this is sad, so she can see it as a reflection of herself. Okay. Teach social skills. When a person's social skill is observed, describe what he did and what should be done. So again, this needs to be done when the child is calmer. Okay, not there and then, especially for the older ones, not there and then that you have to tell him off, because sometimes, especially in front of peers. Okay, if you're a school teacher, when you do that, the student can still feel like a sense of embarrassment. Okay, so just take note of that. Use specific praises or encouragement for his positive actions, and then provide constructive feedback. Okay, this is the describing part to address his undesirable behavior. Okay, so for daily functioning skills, okay, I'm looking at the time. Okay, can still. Okay, we need to explicitly teach life skills related to living and self-care. Break down each skills if necessary, and plan experiences that are relevant to the child's experiences as well. Teach and model personal hygiene, such as washing hands. Okay, especially now with COVID, and then provide opportunities for children to practice. So one of my favorite for help is to always sabotage their during snack time. So I will always put like their biscuits, if it's like in a packet, I always put their biscuits in small containers or in bottles, so that if you tight it, if it's very tight, then they have no choice but to ask for help. Because refreshment snack time is one of the most motivating activities for the kids, right? So you need to bear in mind how to provide opportunities so that they can practice all of this. Okay, feeding, dressing, toileting, and all that. So I'm going to give you some examples here. Okay, so this is another website which I always go to, do2learn, do2learn.com, if I'm not wrong. They have all these visuals. Okay, all this, then you can just print out and then just laminate it if you want to use it at school or at home. Okay, so they have all of this to teach not only routine care, but also at school. There are quite a lot of visual supports that you can download from the website. Okay, and because of right now COVID and all that, so I like HPB's way of doing the hand washing. Okay, not only do they have the numbers, they also have this line whereby the kids can track, oh, especially if the child does not know numbers yet, right? So they know, okay, which one comes first, and then all that. Okay, I really like it. To me, it's very clear, and the pictures are also very clear on what to do. Okay, and then the words are there to support the pictures as well. Okay, and you can see they even put a scan to watch their video. So again, videos are also great tools for the kids to learn. So if they do not understand pictures yet, then you go back to video, which is more concrete. They can see what's going on and all that. Okay. Okay, virtual classroom. I have a lot of questions on HBL. I think questions that I receive on HBL. So I'm giving you some tips on virtual classrooms for both teachers and parents. So just take note. I know HBL is an in thing now, unfortunately, because of COVID. So I do know it's very challenging to teach HBL. From a parent's perspective as well as the teachers, because when my son went through HBL, he's only 3, so you can imagine how a 3-year-old will be, and I really don't expect him much. So yeah, so I hope these strategies will work, and I do get feedback from other teachers and parents as well on how they prepare HBL lessons for the kids. Okay. So this is for the teachers and parents. Reduce potential distractions. For teachers, it means background. Background. Try to use a plain wall, or for me, I used my cupboard. Okay, but of course I have the virtual background as well. One thing about virtual background for some lessons, especially if you need to show a lot of things. Okay, so if you're showing a lot of things, sometimes it can disappear into the backdrop. So just take note of that. And then if you're a parent at home, reduce potential distractions, as in you do not put the TV in front of the child while the child is doing his HBL, or you don't switch on the TV. Make sure the best to me, I think, facing a wall at the side of a room, so that they have nothing to look.
Practically is very hard,
Yeah, I know. Practically is very hard. I know. I understand. So yeah, I know. I have a lot of students when I was doing HBL where they are in the dining or in the living room and all that. So potential distractions like the TV should be off, or put away the toys and all that. Try to reduce as much as possible. Okay. Yeah. Okay, next, set clear rules and agenda. This is again from the parents and teachers. Okay, so you need to set what are the do's and don'ts. Okay, even at home also, what can the child do and what the child can do. And then I always find it is very important to collaborate with each other to ensure that the child is ready to learn. So if the child has very short attention span, then maybe you can highlight to the teacher that maybe in front of the computer, you may see that the child may not be physically in front, but maybe at the side, so that because you are supporting the child and things like that. So you need to have an open relationship in that sense. Okay, so be ready for the unexpected. This is very obvious. Teachers as well, parents too. Okay, know what is within your control and what is not. Okay, especially as a teacher, because we are nowhere near the child. So if your child, we see, even for neurotypical kids, I see my students just jumping and you can't keep on stopping the lesson and say, can you please sit down and all that. So know what is within your control and what is not. Okay, and then as a parent, again, if the lesson is too long, then you need to know, okay, my child needs a break. Okay, let's take a break. Let's go for a walk, or just get the child go to the toilet. Just distract the child for a while and then come back. Okay, breaks do take. I believe do make a difference for the kids. Okay, recognize that home-based learning is different from learning at school. This is very important, because I have a lot of parents who feedback that at home they are not able to learn. They are not able to do the schoolwork and all that, and then they also display behaviors. Okay, aggressive behaviors when the teachers themselves don't see such behaviors at school. So we need to know that home-based learning is very different. So do not expect the same kind of behavior that your child is at school at the home context. Okay, it's very different. All right, so we need to recognize that. And because at school also is very routine. Okay, there's a lot of routines, like, okay, what time to what time is this, then what time to what time is maths and all that. So it's very different. Okay, whereas at home, the routines are all like haywire because of the fact that they are not at home. So we need to recognize that it's different. Okay,
I think this goes to educators as well.
Yes,
to accept that they are at home setting.
Correct.
If the child keeps on wanting breaks and all that, you cannot control that.
Yeah, we cannot control.
Because I ever heard student feedback, every time I go HBL, kena scolded.
Yes.
It makes them lose interest in learning. Right? So yeah, we have to control ourselves. Yeah.
Yes, I do agree. Okay, so additional tips for the teachers also is to break learning into small chunks. Okay, need to give them bite-sized information that can be digested quickly and easily, and then give them opportunities to go through the materials at their own pace. Okay, so you cannot just tell them, okay, within this hour you need to submit it. Okay, but at home, we can't tell. The situation is different. Okay, not only do they have to manage their schoolwork, they could also be managing other things that we ourselves may not know of. Okay, all right, so we need to take note of that. Another one is also to use a mix of teaching tools. Okay, and include social time. I think a lot of my students, they like it when they have time to like say hi to their friends, talk time to their friends, or maybe showing off their toys or what. I think is also important for them to have that. Okay, You can use a mix of live versus recorded lessons. Okay, screen sharing to incorporate videos, games. So it's not just like teaching, not like slides always and all that. So you must incorporate other forms, okay, to get them motivated, okay, and get them involved, okay. Okay, so when the virtual classroom is ongoing, what must you do? We need to be engaged, we need to be supportive and flexible as well. Okay, so when we are engaged and we let the child know that we are supporting them from the start throughout the whole lesson, then they know, okay, that you are visible and available for them. Okay, this goes to parents as well as teachers. And I know a lot of parents, you know, you can't always be there with the child, but know and let them know that, you know, okay, I'm going to the kitchen maybe, but if you need help, let me know. Okay, just call out for me and I'll come. Okay, so yeah, parents as well as teachers, you also need to let the kids know if they have difficulties that they can what's this, they can always ask the teachers for help or the parents. Okay. Okay, be aware of your movements. This is important for teachers. I know I have a habit of moving moving in my seat. So some kids find it very distracting. So do take note of that. Allow for movement, okay, include kinesthetic learning, can get them to, you know, take breaks, plan for quiet time within the lesson, use a visual timer as if necessary. So again, like I said, be flexible, expect the unexpected when lessons are ongoing. Okay, have a balance of teacher to student as well as student to student, like I said just now. Give some social time for the kids. Give prompt feedback when you're using polling or chats or videos and all that. Okay, give them all this prompt feedback, especially for the older ones. I think the older ones, you know, give them time to maybe after the Zoom meeting, you can tell them, oh, or maybe during itself, okay, are you all having difficulties? You know, if you can't do it, it's okay, you let me know, let me see how I can help. Okay, so give them that. Okay, give them the attention, and if you see the child is doing it and submitting promptly, reinforce that as well. Okay. Okay, so review what happens after that. So both parents and teachers need to know what worked and what did not, and then reflect on your teaching as well as your parenting style and how you respond to the HBL. Okay, and follow up with the child if necessary. If necessary, ask the teachers to share additional notes or videos. If it's recorded, then ask for the recording. Okay, perhaps so that your child can go through the video again. If necessary, do a one-to-one feedback with the school or with the parent. Okay. Okay, now it's 1:25. Don't worry, I will not break you up into groups. At least
I want to share something about the virtual.
Yes.
I think both educators and also parents need to be mindful about the child's virtual background. It's very important because there was one time a student used a virtual background of nasi lemak.
Wow. Right? Okay.
He came in with a big, huge nasi lemak behind. And then everybody was like, hey, teacher, I'm hungry. And then they keep on asking about what the chicken, about the everything. And then the lesson interrupted because of the virtual background. That's one person.
Yes, I can imagine that. Okay.
So this one, sometimes it's related to their favorite cartoons, you know.
Yes.
So I always remind the parents that please work with me, all right, to actually choose the correct right virtual background.
Yes. I totally get you. I do understand what you mean. I mean, as a teacher also, I would be distracted and I'll be like, oh, now I'm hungry. I said nasi lemak. Okay, but yes, good point as well. Okay. Yeah. Okay, good. And so far, any questions about our strategies before I move on to case studies? Case study is very simple. Don't worry. You do not need to do breakout session because of the time. But I do need you to look through the case studies. So hang on, yeah. Let me see. So case study is very simple, like I said. Because we have today's workshop is for both parents as well as for teachers, right? So what I'm going to do is hang on, let me share again my slide. I forgot. Okay, so what I want you to do is when you are reading the case study, there will be one for parents as well as one for teachers. But when you are reading the case study, you need to take note and identify the child's issues and challenges, and then the factors which may affect the child. So some of the case, maybe the case study may not necessarily have the factors, but you can put in your suggestions or your guesses on what factors that may affect the child, and then what do you think, what may help the child, okay, in terms of strategies. Okay, so what I have is for the teachers, okay, you go to this link, padlet.com, teacher file, case study 1. Okay, this is the QR code for the teachers where you have access to the case study. And then for parents is case study 2. This is for parents. I think now that I realize maybe I have not shared to the public. Okay, but you go to the link first. Okay, for parent is case study 2. Teachers is case study 1. Okay, so hang on, yeah. Can I wait? Let me quickly go to my Padlet and see if it's open for everyone. Hang on. Okay, wait. Let me change. Public can write. Okay, save. Let me change it. So there are 2 separate ones. Okay, hang on. Okay. All right, so you should be able to see it. And like I said, let me see. Can type the parents. Yeah, parents is a case study. Hang on, let me just. Okay, parents is this case study 2. Parents, and then for teachers is the same one but case study 1. Okay, go to the link. So just to take note that all these case studies that both case studies are from feedback that I've received from all of you. Okay, so I've actually compiled and adjusted the feedback, the case studies, so that you can type it up. Okay, so what you need to do is, again, okay, let me just share the screen. Let me see. So for example, case study for educators, okay, the case study is at the top here, and then you just identify the challenges, the factors, and the strategies. Whereas for parents, the case study is up here. Okay, these are the things that the child did, okay, or is having difficulties with, and then you identify the challenges, and then you write down what are the factors that may be affecting the child, and then strategies that may help. So it could be strategies that I've just shared, or even, if you have your own strategies that you have done, then write it down as well. Okay. All right. So I'm giving you maybe 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. Okay. Now it's 1:32. We can take about 10 minutes to do this, or 5 minutes if you are very fast. Okay, and then I will not share everybody's responses, just maybe the key ones. And again, don't worry, I will download all of these responses, and then I will share it with you when Ustazah Zubaida gives the email for my slides and all the notes handouts. Okay, Ken? All right, so thank you. I see some responses coming in. Okay. Okay, good. Parents as well. So if you are the parent, do go to the parents case study, or if you are the educators, then go to the case study for educators. The link is on the chat box. All right. Or if you want to take a peep at the other one, you think you can give some ideas, you go ahead. Okay, it's open for all. All right. It's just that the case studies, both case studies are different. Let's stop share here. All right, so while you are doing that, I have a question here that says, just curious if a child with mild autism can make friends. Can. I've seen a lot of kids with mild autism who has made friends, and they are able to. Maybe in the beginning, they may not know how to make friends. So it's the adult's job to facilitate that. Okay, so inshallah, usually when the parents or even the teachers help out and put in some strategies on friendship, on social skills. Okay, so teaching social skills on how to greet, what to say to their friends, and things like that. They are able to make friends. And for me, personally, when I was teaching in MOE schools, what I did was I actually, I identify the child to the whole classroom, but I do a lot of awareness talks in the classroom, especially if there are difficulties, there are known difficulties, in the classroom. So then I will do awareness talks to the students, and then I will get them to brainstorm on how to actually, help. If they encounter such friends who have difficulties, so then this way they are more aware, and usually with that they are able to kind of like empathize with their friends, and then and then they can make friends and all that. But separately also I do have social skills classes after school, and then where I will invite my students with autism or even other special needs, okay, and certain neurotypical kids as well to join in, so that we can have like a friendship circle of friendship, whereby we play games, so that they know how to interact with others, but in a smaller group. Okay. Okay. How do we explain to the child that he or she has autism, and what is the best way and age to tell him or her? Okay, let me just hang on, with this question. Let me see, are there still people doing the... Okay, so with this question, I would like to actually open up to the parents, and see if we have parents who have explained to the child, or who have told their kids that they have autism and all that. So if you are a parent, have you shared the diagnosis with your child, and if so, how did you do it? Is there any here? Or if you are shy, you can type it out. Yes, I hear somebody unmuting.
Yeah, I can share.
Sure.
Okay, my eldest son, he's 20 years old right now. So he was diagnosed when he was about 9 years old. So he's in the mainstream all along. So the best way was that to explain to him, before explaining to him, I actually learned about the diagnosis first. Yeah. So all this empowering myself with the knowledge is actually like can be used as a weapon or a shield. So with the knowledge to help myself, then I can help my child. So using simple, when you have all the knowledge, right, you actually can you know better how to rephrase the words. And there are also simple books out there that can that are suitable for children with ASD. You could borrow those books, ebooks or in the physical form of books. Borrow those books and then sit down together with your child, and then explain that that his type of autism is what is it, because there are about three types of autism, right, that we know of, but it's far more large because it's a spectrum. So at the age of, although he was diagnosed at 9, right, but actually waited until he is 10 years old to explain. Yeah, I actually waited out about a year after his confirmed diagnosis, because I want to learn. Yeah.
And how did he take it?
Yeah. So okay. He at first he is still he knows that he...
Sorry, I think you're breaking up.
Different
or
from
is
his
it
friend.
me?
Because
Okay.
some friends is very nice. And we had the parent teachers conference, right?
I think Miss Tahira, you are
Yeah.
lagging.
Boys classmates working here. Okay, hold on. Okay. Sorry, yeah.
Yes, now much better.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, where was I? All right. Okay, so the experience was that during the parent teachers conference, his classmates were all calling him to play together. But less than 5 minutes, he already came back to me. Yeah, because he said why did you come back? And he said that, it's okay, my friends can play, but I just wanna be alone. That's what he said. Yeah. So I said, for myself, okay, it's fine that he is uncomfortable because he was young, but he knows that it was his choice. So I give him that choice. Yeah, but as he grew older, right, when he went into secondary school, he started to appreciate about socializing and friendship. So he had one classmate who was very close to him, and then to know that he can actually move forward to the front of the class and actually do class presentation, and then a project whereby he had to go to a park, Central Park, and approach strangers to talk about the amenities, and then he moved on to ITE, and then he's in Polytechnic. So yeah, he was struggling with Polytechnic lah because of the COVID, right?
Yes.
For him, the circuit breaker, the isolation is not doing so well for him. Yeah, he preferred face to face lah. So all the while, right, there had been professionals helping from primary school all the way to secondary, ITE, Polytechnic. Yeah, although his file case has transferred to ITE and then transferred to Poly, right? The parents must make it a point to reach out to the
schools.
Learning, to the learning accessibility, the office, special needs office. The parents must actually reach out, not the school reach out to the student. That's for my experience lah. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That was very heartwarming. Yes. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, I must admit, it's not easy to break not say news, but to inform the child, especially if the child is very, very young. Let me just share with you my students' experience. When I spoke to the parent, the mom actually shared with the child's experience also at around the age of 10 or 11. And back then, he didn't really understood the concept of autism. And because it's something that you can't really, it's not something concrete, right? You can't really see it because to him, he doesn't see himself as different, which is true. He's not different. He's the same. It's just that he the perspectives, the behavior, there are some differences as well. So what the mom did was like what Ms. Tahira said, to encourage him, to always be there, to understood first and foremost what is autism herself before they actually break the news. So I do believe she also took some time to she didn't tell the son immediately. She took about 6 months or so before she breaks the news to the son. And even then she actually gave the whole diagnosis report to the son to read because he's very smart. He has the language abilities. So he read through and then he was like, oh, what does this mean? So he has the language, but it's just the understanding part that he has difficulties with. So when he came to secondary school again, we treat him with no difference and all that. And the mom kept on, showing him like videos, to inspire him basically, because he has very weak social skills. He had also unfortunately a very terrible primary school experience. He was badly bullied, and I think it was unresolved. So when he came into secondary school, he was very angry with all his friends and all that, even though they are new and all that. But because of the experiences he experienced in primary school, that sort of manifested. He has not suicidal thoughts, but he has thoughts of killing his friends. And it's very real because during exam, when I first realized it, is that when he was very stressed, he actually stood up because he has extra time. So he was in a separate room. So he actually stood up and he went like bang, 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 bang. He acted like he wanted to kill. So then he sat down and back and he did his paper. So afterwards, I spoke to him about it, and he told me that he suddenly remembered his experience in primary school and how it got him to be so angry that he just felt like he wanted to kill his friends. Okay, this is coming from a boy, Sec 1 boy at that time. So when I spoke to the mom and and we sort of like tell him that while your feelings is true, that your feeling, we acknowledge the feelings of anger that he still has for his primary school friends, but how we can move forward. So again, I move, we collaborated with the parents and all that. So the parents are very forthcoming. They explain to him, about his emotions and all that. So alhamdulillah, by the time we reached Sec 4, he has made wonderful friends because of the circle of friends that I've done the program and all that. So he has made wonderful friends until to the point that when his classmates, the whole classmates, Sec 4 classmates, asked him out for iftar. Ramadan break, during Ramadan, they asked him out to breakfast with them. And it's very heartwarming because he said yes, and he went independently. And the mom was so happy with that, because then that just proves that his friends also accept him as a whole. There's no difference, even though he acts differently in class. He's the way he says, the way he talks is also different. It's also different. But the fact that he gets an invitation to iftar, the mom was so happy, and she believes that throughout the whole time, that we really worked on social skills at school and even at home. She did that at home with the play dates, and also trying out with the younger brother, and and he's very open. He will openly says, "Oh, I have autism, but it's okay because autism is not part of me. It's just a label," and that's true. Eventually, so if you speak, if you talk about it, and like I think I like one of the participants said that to make sure that emphasize that he is no different from other child. Siti said, I think that makes a difference as well. To so that they know that even if I have this so-called label of autism, I can still be like any other child. Okay, and that makes a difference, I think. And of course, it makes a difference that the school is also very open. I believe not to treat the child differently, and friends and all that. So I think that also plays a part. But so thank you so much for sharing, Ms. Tahira, and as well as Miss Siti, for sharing that as well. Okay, especially for the younger ones. I think if you want to break the news to the younger ones, you need to simplify in a more concrete manner, so that showing up videos helps, not to really talk about the label, but in terms of the behavior, I think, and the thinking part, the thinking process, that if you like to explain to the younger ones, if they have autism and all that. Okay, can. So I have some, let me just go through. Is there any other questions? Let me see. Okay, so if there's no other questions, let me just look through the case study. Okay, let me just share with you some of the things that we have done. So the parents, so parents case study is basically the child is unable to tell what she wants clearly and gets frustrated when family does not understand what she's saying. She also insists that she's always right and does not accept other people's point of view. Okay, this is point of view is part of the flexibility of thoughts. Okay, and also if the child is very young, the child may still be in the egocentric mode, where me means me, there's no other way. There's no other people's way. So it could be that as well. So during HBL, this child refused to do schoolwork, making it challenging for parents to make her sit and do work. But when parents insist, she will shout or throw things, scratch, or even bite the parents. Sometimes she will do her homework very quickly but carelessly and then run off when she's done. However, the teacher reported that child does not show such behaviors in school and is able to cooperate and listen to instructions. So this is the part that I said we need to realize that at home environment is different from school environment. So I see that you can identify the child's issues, which is difficulties adjusting to HBL and change of routines. This is good. Change of routine, yes. Changes in a routine studying, difficulty to normalize the new transition, yes. Difficulty adjusting from school to HBL classes, because it's very big. Yes, the changes are very, very big, especially for a child with special needs, All right, so factors which may affect the child, no routines, yep. A different learning environment, definitely. Home environment can be overwhelming, miss the friends, teachers, or parents not supporting enough. External distractions at home, parents are not at home to guide. This is especially true if both parents are working. Doesn't understand the routine of HBL, yes. Assisted by parents who are not IT savvy. Difficulties in communication which leads to tantrum or biting. Don't let things to do online. Home is too distracting. Yes, these are all factors which can affect the child. So strategies, what have some of the parents do? Reduce distraction, make learning environment conducive, differentiate rules for HBL and for play or sleep. Okay, this is good. Okay, set routines around the HBL. That's good as well. Parents to guide during HBL session. Room temperature makes a difference. Yes. This is me. If it's too cold, I can't focus, and then I will need to take breaks to walk around and make myself warm. Okay, so this is me as well. Enough sleep. Okay, that's a good one. Some kids may not have enough sleep as it is just HBL. Try to adjust the home to a more conducive environment. Remove the things that may distract. Reward her. Okay. Introduce social stories on pandemic and how learning methods have changed. Oh, this is excellent. Okay, I like that. Physical activities before doing HBL, reward systems, create HBL schedule. Okay, good. Which includes short breaks. Yes, you can do this. Okay, I was going to recommend to the parents who has these difficulties for HBL. Create breaks. Okay, put in breaks. Even though the teachers may not give breaks, but you can tell the teacher, okay, I'm going to give breaks at certain timings. Okay, and then so that the child can go away and then just do his own thing and then come back. All right, visual social stories about HBL, fidget toys. Okay, good. Include physical activities during and after. Okay, can try asking child to write her thoughts out, especially if the child is older. So good strategies that I see from the parents, okay, in order to help with the HBL. How about educators? Okay, so educators for this child likes to climb on the shelves, table, window grills when upset, throw objects at others, inflict self-injury. Okay, especially for the younger ones, I do see this a lot. Okay, either biting, pinch self, banging head, can be aggressive. Yes, although child is verbal, unable to communicate his needs and wants, and then child has a habit of going to the toilet but not passing urine. So we'll get very upset if the teacher doesn't allow him to go to the toilet. Okay, so then child also just listen to certain adults. Okay, and then the adults use countdown method or distract. Okay, so issues is communication, good. A lot of you write communication. Emotional regulation, yes, gets frustrated. Only listens to certain people, yes. Self-inflicting injury, yep. Unable to communicate when he wants to go to the loo. Okay, factors which may affect the child. Okay, a lot of teachers, I think, wrote when teacher refuses his request to go to the toilet, the rapport between teachers and child. Yes, this is also a factor, right? Because since he only listens to the school cook and the class teacher. This is good. Teacher's inability to identify the function of his behavior. So if you think you need to identify the function, so think back. Is he going to the toilet to escape the lesson, or is he really needing to go to the toilet? Okay, so you need to identify the function. Good. So good. Not able to convey. Could be classroom lighting, sound organization. Could be too. Psychology or approach being applied by the teacher may also need to be adjusted. Wow, this is very odd. Try other ways of calming or reaching out to the child. Okay, good. So some strategies, calming songs. Yeah, so if you know the counting down and the distracting is and the calming songs are working, so continue using that. Redirect, or even ask the school cook and the class teacher how they do it. Okay, how they manage it, how they communicate with the child. Okay, build rapport. Yes, visual, at least help of trusted adults. Okay, good. Okay, so I see that all of you have used some of the strategies that we shared, as well as your own strategies, which is awesome. Okay, can escape. Yeah, it could be escape. That's right. The child keep going to the toilet because of to escape. Okay, so good. I will share all these responses with everybody. I will download it, and then everybody can have it later on. Okay, so last part. Okay, very quick. How to create SN friendly environment at home and in school. So I'm going to show you ideal okay environments. Okay, it does not have to be you do not really need to do it, but if you can do it, it does help. It can help the child to regulate and function well at home or at school. Okay, so define areas. So I see somebody mentioning about define areas for sleep, play, work. Okay, so that's a good way as well. Okay, so that the child knows, okay, if I'm here means I'm doing work, if I'm there I'm playing and all that. Okay, so label. So label with photos. If you want your child to be independent, okay, on cleanup especially, then you label. You put pictures or you put the photos of the actual toys so that they know, okay, so this toy, where do I return it? I return it at this place, okay, because all the labels are there. So you can see all these pictures, they're very nicely labeled or very nicely displayed, okay, so that the child knows where to return the toys
Just to share, teacher, yes, it's good with labels and all that, but in the household, you must agree with everyone, siblings, your husband, your wife.
Yes.
Hey, if I do this, we have to do this together.
Together,
Cannot
yes.
be like one man show.
Yes, that's right. If you are at home, sometimes definitely you need everybody's agreement and cooperation as well. So must be consistent. Okay, all right, good. Then lighting also do play a part. Okay, so considerations to influence lighting, blackout curtains if you're talking about going to sleep. Okay, carpeting, lamps near work areas, all this do have an effect. Okay, seating also. Okay, when you're seated, if the child has dangling feet, it can also affect how the child sits. Okay, so could have a study table or seat, or for relaxing, for calming the child down. Okay, all these bean bags do help a child. Okay, and I think you can find this in IKEA if I'm not wrong. Okay, so sensory area so that the child knows where a safe place to regulate themselves. Okay, so all these are some examples of toys, coming down kit that you can do it in class as well as at home if you have space. If not, then visual information as well. Okay, checking in to class, how do they feel? So this is the schedule on the classroom as well as if you are in mainstream schools, what you can do. Okay, when you're in the classroom. Okay, so calm down breaks. When the child is having calm down breaks, what can the child do? You can list it out. Or if the child is frequently taking breaks, so this is what you can do as well. Okay, so we can start off with 10 breaks and then move on to 5 and then move on to 3. Okay, this also goes to if the child frequently interrupts to ask questions, you can also do this as well. Okay, I can take 10 questions or 5 and then move down slowly to 3. Okay. Behavior rules, okay, make it short, simple, and use visuals as well, the pictures. Okay, these are always good to emphasize on the behaviors needed, the expectations. So these are the exact things that I do with my students for the exams as well. So this is what I submit to SEAB for the exams. Okay, so that they all these visual supports can be on the table as a reminders for them. Okay. SEN friendly classrooms, these are just examples. You can see they're all very neat, very colorful, but it's not very organized. Okay, it doesn't show clutter anywhere. Okay, work by myself, it can happen at home as well. I do have a parent who is very gung-ho. His child, when he was 4 years old back then, he has a work by myself and all the shelves, and then he showed us photos of it where he put exactly like how we would do it in epic setting. He actually did it. He actually reflected it back at home, so that the consistency is there. Okay, so just making sure these are some of the SN friendly environments that you need to take note of. Okay, make sure you utilize a multisensory approach, maximize the use of visuals, expectations, and establish clear rules and expectations, and always be flexible with that. Okay, so coming to the end, these are some of the tools that you can use. Okay, checklist you can use. You can take note of this, or you can Google the checklist because parents and teachers. Okay, there are a lot of checklists available online, but that you just need to know which ones are the more research based, or which ones are the more extensive and all that. Okay, I love this for the teachers, behavior solutions, and for parents who wants to understand about sensory issues. This book is good. They have a second edition which is blue in color, I think. Okay, so you can check it out if you want to understand more on sensory issues. Okay. Okay, any Q&As before we close? Because if there's none, let me just check.
How about movie?
Sorry?
Or any Netflix? How about movie or
movies?
Any
Netflix series? Movies about Netflix. You can check out movies on what's this? Wonder. One Day is a very good movie where I thought is not pertaining to autism, but it makes it talks about how the family accepts the child's differences as well. So you can take a look at that, how the parents number blocks, yes, number retention, yes, I do that too. Number blocks and alpha blocks for my son. Temper Grandin books, yes, definitely. Temper Grandin, because she herself has autism, so she is able to relate in her books. There's quite a lot of movies. Right now I can't recall some of it, but there's one Hindi movie which is about autism. Shah Rukh Khan. Shah Rukh Khan actually starred in it. I can't recall right now, but when I remember it, I will make sure to highlight it in the slides for the handouts for the participants. Okay. Yes, my name is Khan. Correct. Thank you so much, Harinisa. Yes, I love that because I thought he acted very, very nicely, representing a person with ASD in the movie. Okay. So if there's nothing, I'm going to show you
one I watched, The Good Doctors.
The Good Doctor too. Yes, the doctor who has
the few episodes from season 1. It reflects how the high ASD, the doctor.
Yes, correct. Yep. You are right. Okay. So if as we are doing the Q&A, you can also do the feedback for today's session. This is the QR code as well as the link here for Alisla to gather your feedback about today's session. So this is the QR code. We hope that you can fill this up so that you can give us feedback about the workshop, okay, whether you think you like it or not, how I can improve myself and the workshop. Please feel free to write it down. Please feel free to feedback that as well. There are series by Dr. Putri. I've not heard of this. Okay, I shall take note of it. Dr. Putri, that's interesting. Story maker books, okay. But one of my go-to online resources would be for Singapore. You can always go to Pathlight website or autism.org.sg. They have quite good explanations and strategies as well on how to manage kids with autism. If not, then KKH also has a note, a booklet on managing kids with autism as well. I can't recall the link right now, but I do know they have one there. Okay, what else?
Teacher, just a question. Since we have participants from Malaysia, do you offer your early intervention services?
Maybe not early intervention services because we can't fly out right now, but I do do consultations I do have one school which I used to consult in, but in Indonesia. So can do consultations right now because of COVID, so we can do it online over Zoom. If you do have any issues or anything, we can do that. I used to do consultations over telecommunications. So then they will give me they will show me videos on the child, and then I will feedback and give strategies on how the teachers can help manage the kids. Okay, so I do that as well. I also do that in schools as well. I mean in Singapore as well, for certain schools and organizations whereby they will email me and ask for help and all that. So I do give consultation services. So you can email me. I think my email is right at the front of my PowerPoint. Okay, it's at bloomingfootprints.sg@gmail.com. That's my my email. Okay, so even for parents also, if you have any questions or if you need any help, you can just email me. Feel free to contact me. Yeah, I'll be very open for that. Okay, so lastly, before we end off, okay, I just need to highlight that, at the end of the day, we need to shift our mindset away from labeling the children. Okay, and support should be given based on the observable behaviors or traits. Always use a person first language, as well as always be sensitive when we are managing kids, or even parents and teachers, who are managing kids with ASD. Okay, so I do hope it's been a fruitful session, and I really thank all my participants for being very active, very engaging, very participative, giving me all your responses. Thank you so much for being here for the past 4 hours. Okay, yeah. So is there anything from your side, Ustazah Zubaida?
I don't think I have any, but on behalf of Masjid Al-Islah and as well Raikan Ilmu MENDAKI, I would like to thank everyone who involved. Inshallah, I will post the material or email you the post material workshop, the post workshop materials to you. Okay. I think I will just give a 5 minutes off record session. If any, if any of you have any questions to teacher Fadilah,